We're doing a podcast?
Yeah, but we're not starting yet.
No, sorry.
You're on the line, though.
We're on live? Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Check, 1, 2, 3, right?
That's for the audio.
No one's
close.
checking the audio.
I know.
Welcome, Facebook. We've got some special guests.
Hey!
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We have Ryan Ponist back on from Alec Bradley.
Mr. Q, you're supposed to
We're
laugh.
so happy
Driving it in deep.
Live
to
audience.
have you on.
I did
Studio
not want
audience.
to be on here. I did not want to be on here. I thought it was too soon.
But no, it's not.
I thought it was too soon.
Never too soon, buddy.
I'm just here for emotional support. I'm actually Alec's emotional support animal.
And
I get on all the flights free.
Yeah. So, our main guest, though,
Yeah,
Alec,
turn your volume down.
Alec Rubin. We're excited to have him on, but as
Thank you.
Steve and everyone else is doing right now, please share this. That's how we grow this thing. That's how we have been growing this thing. We appreciate everyone that has been doing that thus far.
It's like how everyone's alert.
Tell us
That's how
what
we do
you're
this,
sipping
for
on
tech
tonight.
period.
If you're by a pool, this is the first really hot day that we've had in the Midwest, at least in Ohio. So it's definitely a scorcher here in our garage, but in having a rye. So, last time we talked about not having a rye when it was this hot out, but that's how it looked tonight.
Yeah, it's under 80 though.
Yeah.
I bring the
Fine.
Y.
Huh?
I bring the rye.
Yeah.
I said Y.
Rye.
Rye.
Rye brings the rye.
Rye brings the rye.
Got
Yeah,
it.
Rye brings the rye.
I gotcha.
Oh my
Full of
god.
dad jokes.
I am.
Alright.
So,
Full of something.
If this is your first time tuning in, we talk about whiskey, we talk about cigars, and we talk about life. We normally have a life topic in there which is a little different than most podcasts, and we think that that's what separates us from the rest. So we hope you enjoy once
From the
we
animals.
start our audio.
Oh,
First one of the night.
You said you've done a lot of these before, but have you ever done it on a card table in a man's garage? That's the question.
I know the answer to that, I feel like. I feel like I know this one.
What's the answer?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
no.
Yeah.
So,
I like it. Let's do it.
But tell us what you're smoking tonight, like we said, and tell us what you're sipping on, if you are, and we appreciate everyone for tuning in. So, almost ready?
Yep.
You're right.
Everyone share that?
Did you guys get my rider?
Yeah, no, we got everything.
Okay,
That's fine.
You
I
ready?
celebrate all the Prensados.
It's all in the basement.
You ready?
Okay.
Yeah, you just kind of threw them on the table.
Down in the backyard.
Gotcha. Ready, Alec?
Oh, you ready?
We're gonna
Two
do this.
times.
Hey.
Make it good. You mess this
We
up.
get gain right for you guys to not blow.
Just some tips.
Yeah, going easy.
Yeah, never mind.
Going easy.
I hope it breaks right in my face. Workers comp. That was good.
That
good.
one more time.
Whatever.
All right.
There it is. Cheers. That was
Should
worse. Anyway.
went out on a high note.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone. I'm Jake Sanders along with Steve Crane, and we make up the Bourbon and BS podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We normally talk about whiskey, we talk about cigars, and we talk a little bit about life. Actually, most of the time we talk about life, and that's what we think separates us from the rest, and we hope that you enjoy. We are accompanied tonight by Alec Rubin of Alec Bradley Cigars. Thank you for being on tonight, man.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's awesome to have you here finally. We've been stoked about having this podcast, especially just 2 weeks ago we had Rick on from CEO Cigars. So it's been a lot of fun having you guys in and talking about the cigars that you guys actually blend, make, and smoke, and the ones that we love. So it's awesome.
You didn't introduce Ryan.
Yeah, I know.
Just throwing that out.
And we're accompanied by Ryan Ponist that doesn't really want to be here, but he's
Again.
here.
Again.
You know, if they're listening to the podcast, they didn't have to know I was here. It's just the people on Facebook. That could be the Easter egg for Facebook Live, like Ryan didn't say anything.
They're gonna
It's
know.
our podcast.
They're gonna know. You can't hold back, though. That's the problem.
You
Not
cannot.
Right. It's not a problem.
No,
Excuse me, let me
he never
rephrase that.
does. He never does.
That's the joy of having you around is your honesty, sarcasm, and
And he's normally
Why does your voice get
Beaming
deeper as soon as we
personality.
get on the podcast?
it's always that
No,
way.
it's
Yeah, Steve actually walks around and talks like a perfectly normal human being every other day of the week.
You said it at lunch or whenever that was after your lunch.
I didn't say anything of the sort.
Oh.
But it's welcome. Why'd you make it so deeper?
I didn't know.
All right, calm down, boys. So, thanks to our sponsors tonight, Alec Bradley Cigars.
Yes.
And you also, I mean, are you guys doing this just an Instagram thing, or is there ever going to be a full-blown Alec and Bradley Cigars, or is it just an offshoot?
What do you mean? There already is a full Alec.
Yeah, we got full blown everything.
Yeah, it's full blown.
It's Alec and Bradley is a company on its own.
Yes. It's
Okay,
a company.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I
No,
didn't
I'm
know.
just messing with you.
They have Instagram and everything.
Is it or not?
Instagram and
It
everything.
is. It's
All
a
right.
company.
He was gonna wear a blazer over his t-shirt.
I'll
He's
send
starting
out-
to-
yeah,
Come on, I don't
send out-
understand.
Yeah, wear the company lapel pin.
It's amazing.
And then also Altadis, right?
Right.
Cool. Thank you,
Yeah.
Altadis.
Thank
That's
you.
all. That's all they get. Come
Yeah,
on.
come
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You guys talk about
Hey,
it.
thank you, Altadis, for having us on.
No, thanks to Paul and Josh for the support always in the company Altadis USA. Normally we have one of the cigars that are from them for the second cigar, but tonight we're going to be smoking all Alec Bradley and Alec and Bradley.
All
No, we don't have any
Prensado.
Alec and Bradley.
All
Yeah, no, we don't have
Prensado.
any.
All right, never mind. That company sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alec Bradley's nice though. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
Yeah.
Tinderbox at Easton, which this is kind of where it all stems out of, obviously, and also BS Cigar Company for the continued support, which I'm sure there's a couple around here.
Yes. We do have a small studio on it.
Bingo.
It's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice having everyone here.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, okay. Literally everybody listening to the podcast is like idiots.
Comments are lighting up right now.
Perfect.
Uh-huh.
No, it's great. But so, like we said, we talk about whiskey, cigars, and we have a topic. So tonight we're going to be sipping on the Hudson Manhattan Rye whiskey coming out of New York. Thank you, Alec, and thank you, Ryan. Yeah, you are here. Thank you for being on here and bringing this awesome whiskey. And thank you for bringing the Prensado. That's what we'll be smoking tonight from Alec Bradley.
You're halfway through it already.
I know, I kind of started early.
Dude,
which
he's
is
halfway
good.
through the bottle already. I mean, let's.
That bottle is about halfway. Is that what's in here? You pour?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, I took the liberty of pouring you a glass.
Appreciate it. You don't like to drink alone,
I don't.
actually.
I mean,
Easy
isn't
there.
that...
I mean,
Easy there.
I do it sometimes.
sometimes you do.
Sometimes I do.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think anything's wrong with that as long as you don't do it all the time.
Or, you know, in your closet.
Wasn't that,
Drinking in a closet?
isn't that the
Or like
expression?
under.
Isn't that the expression of drinking alone?
In a
Drinking
closet?
in the closet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it?
Closet drinking.
Wow.
Closet drinking.
Is
I
that
think
like
that's
one
like hiding it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like hiding.
You openly drink alone.
Yeah, but not
So
all
that-
the time. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
fair.
already
So
derailed
that's
this
not
podcast.
Damn it, Ryan! Ah, yes.
You already
I
did
thought
it.
you were gonna be
fucked it
quiet.
up.
You introduced me. I don't know.
But
That's my fault.
so our topic of the evening is congratulations. Now what? Which it kind of bounces off of what we were talking about last weekend.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So it's
Over
kind of
here.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
me neither.
interesting. Yeah, I know.
You can check that out on iTunes or Spotify, on YouTube also, or Facebook. You can check that
No
episode out.
Google? Are we on the Googleplex?
We're on Overcast
Google
on Android devices.
Overcast on Android. Okay.
Google owns
Yeah.
YouTube, so
I guess that's valid.
yeah.
Yeah, you can find it.
You're watching it live on
As
Facebook.
we speak.
Literally,
As
you
we
found
speak. All right. Well, you want to get into the whiskey here?
Yeah.
You already
So,
did.
I did.
Well, yeah, you got into it, that's for sure.
I got to get familiar with it. So, the Hudson Manhattan Rye whiskey. It's really good right off the rip. It's 750 milliliter bottle. It first started out in its first stages in a 375 milliliter bottle, and I think that Hudson's kind of done that throughout when they've introduced something new. And to my understanding, they what's their relationship with Alec Bradley? Are you guys allowed to speak on that?
Yeah,
with-
absolutely. So the parent company is William Grant and Sons. They're the ones that own Glenfiddich, Balvenie. The list is long.
Sailor Jerry, Riga, Tulliver Dew, Hendrick's Gin.
Milagro Tequila.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
a huge spirits company.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Started with Glenfiddich and then branched into all this.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
So they purchase it, or they're distributing it, or they're the owning company? They're the,
They do purchase a lot of the companies that they do distribute.
Yeah.
So like they also have Florida Cognac that they just distribute and don't own.
Okay.
But like I believe they used to distribute Hudson and then bought the company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where are they
I
based
could be
out
wrong
of?
on that, but Scotland.
Scotland. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
worldwide.
The portfolio changes very often.
Yeah.
And what's the relationship then?
That is actually just a handshake agreement where they provide spirits for us for certain events or podcasts,
Family
whatever. it may be.
functions.
Yeah, no matter what it is.
Yeah, Rubin.
And then when they need yeah,
Rubin birthday.
yeah, exactly. And when
Baptisms.
they need cigars for their events or whatever it may be, we provide that to them. So just been a handshake agreement. There's nothing
It's a good handshake.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Absolutely.
It's really fun working with these guys. It really is.
I think they also understand that the exposure that we're able to provide for them, because for every cigar that you smoke, you could have 2 to 3 whiskeys, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Is also a big part of it. So that's why they like working with us on that.
Good.
They're family owned. We're family owned. That's also a big part.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what do we know about this whiskey?
Well,
It's rye.
it's rye.
It's rye.
It's a New York straight rye whiskey. It is 100% rye. Nothing else in here. It does come out at 46% alcohol by volume, and it's actually pretty good. What's interesting is with the ryes, their first batches they started with very, very small barrels. We've talked about that a little bit. Where
That's something that Hudson's always done. Is
Yeah.
always work with small barrels.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
which now
Gives more coverage of the whiskey to the barrel.
yeah, and it kind of shows that on the back there if you look at that, Steve. So they have a bunch of different size barrels. It'll be between maybe 10 to 15 gallons, and it'll even go up to 25 to 30 gallons, and then your full size 50-gallon barrel.
Yeah.
Now, what I don't know is whether is it true, Alec, that they kind of age it through the different barrels, or is it just like they pick? Do they just pick what comes out of a barrel and then they blend it with like
no clue.
Okay.
The way it says on here is comprised
completely
of
honest.
straight whiskey from 3 different size casks.
Interesting.
I should have just answered that as just yes.
You're gonna, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the answer is yes. But
Yes.
But yeah, it's just that they are artfully blended together to achieve our unique flavor. So it sounds like they're actually blending from 3 different barrels.
size barrels.
They're not like moving it and aging, like going from one to the next and all that. Like it's
Right.
not triple aged or anything like that. It's something that's actually, they're doing 3 different things.
Yeah.
The label actually also says, kind of to them at least, what the flavor you're getting out of each size barrel, which is interesting.
Tell us what that says.
So out of the 15 gallon, you got vanilla toffee and rye bread. 25 gallon, you have stone fruit and pepper spice.
Stone fruit.
Stone fruit.
That's a new one.
Can you name a stone fruit?
No.
Papaya.
That's actually the only
I don't
fruit
think it's
that
stone.
I'm
I don't
in,
think
like
it's stone
the.
That hangs from a tree.
It's a stone fruit. Something grown out of
Peaches,
stone.
peaches,
I don't-
plums, pears,
Do you grow fruit, Steve?
Those are
Peach-
stone fruit.
apricots.
Not typically.
It's
Not regularly.
Your mask?
When you do grow fruit, what is it?
It's not from stone.
It's
Yeah, no, it's
from steel.
53. The 53 gallon is cinnamon and honey. So that's what they're classifying it on the bottle there.
Well, off the nose and off the taste, it's just all cinnamon for me. There is some spice there.
I think you read that on the description.
No, I really no. I was saying that like before we even
It's
started.
stone fruit.
I know you.
I hate you
Yes.
guys. Now that all you guys get together, now you're fucking coming up with like the weird
No, it's on
like
label.
notes. I hate you.
And the honey, come on.
Yeah, there is like a minty there though on the back end. That I like it off the nose.
I love this rye.
Yeah, you said that it was what got you into whiskey, right?
Yeah, when I started trying different things, my dad was trying to get me into bourbon, to something that was a little bit sweeter, and it just wasn't for my palate. And then he was drinking rye one day, and I said, let me try it, and I absolutely loved it. It was actually this Hudson Manhattan Rye, and then I kind of realized that the sweeter stuff wasn't for me, so that's really how I got into it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do like it at 46%. I think if it was any higher, it would be really hot. I think this has like a nice complexity and smoothness at the lower than 100 proof. What I like about it, and I did read this on a review for it by Whiskey Wash. If you've never read any reviews by Whiskey Wash, I would really suggest going. And if you have questions about whatever taste notes you're trying to get out of, they're really, really informative on their stuff, and they're really accurate. But they were explaining that this is one of the best ryes to date that isn't MGP. Which is funny because MGP is mostly known for their rye whiskey and their bourbon nowadays, but this is one for sure that if you did a blind taste test against this and Angel's Envy rye and a Willet 3 or 4 year rye, I think it would just match up or even better than.
You know, something else that we
bold
read
statement.
Something else that we read was that this is the first rye to be made in New York in over 80 years.
Really?
Yes.
Well, one thing I like, they kept it OG. It's not chill filtered, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, it
that
says
is-
non-chilled on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Oh, okay.
What?
No, I thought I was adding something cool, and then
It is
You
cool.
are. They,
Oh,
yeah,
wait.
they can't see
So
it.
last time that Ryan was on, you guys were trying to pronounce that distillery's name. You think now that we talked about it,
I can't
you
remember
gotta-
what it was.
you gotta-
Tuttletown? Tuttletown?
Now I'm forgetting because you just screwed me up on it.
Toodleton.
Tuttletown.
Tuttletown.
Right.
So I did get, okay. I remember it at least.
You were saying Tuthillatown.
I was.
I was saying that.
Hard H.
I
Yeah.
don't know what he said, but I said to Philadelphia.
I'll say you match this up to Willet and what else was
The
it?
Willet Rye, you said?
And Angels Envy.
Angels
Rye.
Envy
I
Rye.
like the Angels Envy Rye.
It's definitely got a different finish. I'll say that. I think it's got a very different finish. It's a different spice. It's not gonna be that real, like, to me, like we always talk about as we compare it to like Christmas Day and Ginger Snap and all that stuff.
You don't think so?
I don't get that from this.
It's
I
not as
don't.
heavy.
You don't get like gin
Definitely
snap
not.
or anything?
I don't.
So keep in mind, this is way out of my wheelhouse.
You got a little
I don't really.
Licorice?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
drink
good
this
stuff.
stuff.
Like
So
black licorice?
If you
I
tuned
get
in
it.
for educational value, I have nothing to add. But it was
You're
really
dropping
interesting.
knowledge bomb right
Yeah, it was
now.
really interesting because like when I took the first sip, for those of you watching Facebook Live, you're like, haha, this dude doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, we
like,
got a lot
I
of
winced.
comments
I
like
winced.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
No, we
it's
didn't have any.
probably filtered. Your view count's going up as we speak. No, it was like I got like a heavy, and maybe it was just because like I don't normally drink something like this. Like the spice and the heat was like real heavy.
Yeah.
But like it's funny, I'm drinking it now, and I'm like this doesn't even taste like the first thing I took a drink from.
Mhm.
But that heavy spice
You
there,
have to ease into
there is a little bit of sweetness there. Like it is very much like a honey kind of. You know what I mean? I like it. And it's not something I would normally drink. I won't drink like I personally am not going to go out there and buy it, but like if I was at a bar, I'd order it.
Or if your company would provide it for you. Like,
Yeah.
Like right now?
No, I'm saying like if we went, if after this we all went to the bar tonight and you guys were like, oh yeah, let me get a rye, like oh we're gonna do that, like I'd be like, all right,
Is that
cool,
how we
I'll
talk?
keep up with the boy. Well, you
is
don't.
that how the people you hang out
really
with talk in the
like
bar?
that.
Like when the
Jake
waiter
does.
comes
A
out.
little
bit
Jake
deeper
on the nose.
on the voice.
Yeah, that's
What
Jake
did I say?
on the-
What did I say? Like that? I don't know what that was. I don't know.
But then you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get some
Yeah,
rye.
yeah,
Yeah, bro.
Let's get some chicks and rye. Like I don't know
Chicks
what
and
we're
rye.
doing. Chicks and rye.
Yeah.
I don't
Sounds
know.
like a country song.
Again, no education
Does.
provided whatsoever.
On chicks or whiskey?
Well.
Going to bars in public.
Well,
I like what you're doing though. I like that you picked out. I like the honey note and what Alex said, like the black licorice. I definitely get that.
I do think it pairs with the cigar well because of the pepper on the Prensado, personally.
Yeah, I will say
Yeah,
that they
actually, I
do
will
go
say
well
that.
together.
the last one, I fucking dropped the ball on that one. But this is good.
What did we do last time you were here?
We did
Oh,
Prensado last start, and we did the Hudson
Maple
Maple
Cask.
Maple,
Cask.
yeah.
It was still a rye, was it? The maple cask
Yeah,
was
it is still a rye,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I loved the cigar. I loved the maple rye, but I did not like the pairing. But to me, the
Did you call me
pairing
on
was
this,
great.
or did we just do it?
We just did this.
Oh, okay. I
We
just
just
heard you
did
call
this.
me and ask me about it.
About which? The
About
pairing
what we
or?
should do for the pairing.
No.
This is what I would pair with it. This or maybe like a black market Esteli or Naked Puros. I mean,
See, I could see a black market being a hair better, but I don't know.
the Esteli or just something about this cigar with this like just works really well for me.
Yeah.
The pepper's a little bit different on the Esteli and it's a little bit more earthy, so I just feel like the sweetness also from the Prensado goes
That's
well with the
what I'm
sweetness
getting.
from the rye.
Yeah.
I'm getting the sweetness on this after like setting the glass down and smoking on the
I think if you lit
Prensado.
that up first, you would be getting more of the pepper, but because the rye has that spice,
It's lingering on the front of my tongue like
It's
big
even
time.
in
Like
your
Right in
nose.
the back of the throat.
Big?
Yeah. I don't know why I'm Irish there for.
This is old man Ryan coming in also.
I just aged 60 years.
I like the pairing as well. I don't know, the whiskey for me, I think it's good. I don't want to be negative about it because it's very, very good. But when you brought up like Willet, I think of like some of my favorite ryes is like the E.H. Taylor straight rye. That just has a dip. They're very different. I'll say that it's not better or worse. I just
the
don't
whistle
think.
pigs are like is a very different type of rye as well.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
almost nothing like this. In
No.
any of the whistle pigs.
No, this is something that has a lot more thickness and viscosity to it than like Whistle Pig.
I like that. Yeah,
I think
that's a good way to put it.
Whistle Pig, especially with now, I think it's like their farm stock
I
and
was
their
gonna
like
say farm stock,
10-year
yeah.
and stuff like that. Like that can't hold up to this. But it's funny because what's this like $49.99 or $39.
What is the price? Does anyone know? 50.
$49.99.
Yeah.
49 for the low price.
Well, I mean, that's,
$49.99.
95 actually.
95.
Oh yeah.
but when you're talking about like the ryes that Whistle Pig puts out there, 10-year ryes 89 or 90. You know,
No, I mean, some of
and
the
then you
stuff is
have
over $120. I mean,
yeah,
depends.
like the old world, the
Boss
12-year,
Hog, Old World, yeah.
Well, Boss Hog's way above that
Yeah.
shit. So
500, 400.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
I think for a rye that's like readily available in Ohio, I think this would be a banger, to be honest.
Why just so high?
And mash.
I live in Florida.
What do you think about it in Florida?
It's even better in Florida.
It's even better. Is it the climate or?
It's all the above.
I got it.
Yeah, well, you know.
You're near a beach.
That.
About 20 minutes.
Let me ask you this with ryes, because we actually joke about this quite a bit. The fact that we weren't going to do ryes in the summertime, because we were doing, what was it?
I'm just gonna say this right now. I know where you're going with this. It's always summertime in Florida.
No. That's fine. It's fine. But my point is, we did the Oliva V with Booker's.
Yeah,
We did with
Booker's.
Oh, that wasn't it.
Backyard barbecue.
So that's not the rye. What we were doing a rye
We're
though.
getting some help from our studio audience.
Yeah,
right now.
studio audience, because they've been around for this stuff. But we basically said, like, we're not going to do ryes in the summertime just because it's just too much of that spice and heat coming from typically. And when you're already sweating in the garage, it was just too much. And then you do it with a full body cigar, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And to talk on top of that, it's a lot. But I'm curious, are ryes, do you put like a little water in them? Do you
No.
just like this?
Just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Because I would think that, I don't know. Because when
This is
people go
what
on
I do for a
vacation,
living,
right?
okay? I
I
have to be able to
understand.
do this.
Yeah, you
know,
smoke and drink for a living. It
It's
sounds
temperature
terrible.
blend, you
I'm
know.
not that far off sometimes.
I
It's a
wouldn't,
tough gig.
I wouldn't want to put water in this just because I think it would mess up.
I don't know. I think it would. A drop or two would definitely open it up, add some more sweetness to it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not against trying it, but I just always had it like this.
I would really
You do it right.
And I said this about the Maple Cast too when Ryan was on last time. I would really like to do a old fashioned with this. And
This is great for an old fashioned.
Yeah, and I think that's what's put.
I actually wouldn't even add any sugar.
I
to
can't
it.
say that.
No
What's the
sugar?
distillery?
Tuttletown.
Tuttletown.
I actually wouldn't even add any sugar to it. I would just do bitters potentially.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I can
Did
see
I
it.
not say that about the Maple Cask? I said that exact same thing.
Same
Well, you can't add
Yes.
any sugar to the maple cast.
I know.
No way.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what's put Hudson on the map for the craft distillery world. Like they were the first to really do that, and what put them over the edge
Some of
was
these other guys,
the
when
cocktail.
Yeah, when they do the flavoring with some of these other guys, I mean, it's artificial.
Yeah.
As where with Hudson, they were taking real maple or casks that were coated in maple,
Right.
and putting the whiskey into it and letting it age that way, which
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
I'll tell you what, I put about 3 drops of water in here. And,
I'll just try yours because I don't want to do
yeah,
too much.
go ahead.
This figure was
Please.
in that. Never mind.
It's alcohol. Alcohol
water.
kills off everything.
That definitely
Including my
opens it
Uncle
up.
Bernie.
Definitely opens
God
it
rest
up.
Uncle Bernie.
So the
Dustin.
backyard barbecue, middle end of June. The next week we did Woodford's barrel finished rye, which
That's
is
what it
the
was.
distiller series. It wasn't super hot, but because the week prior it was so hot and that combination was
Yeah.
not good.
We're just beating
That's-
ourselves up.
That's
basically.
when we made the pact to not do a rye unless it was below 55 degrees.
Yeah, we
I feel
broke
like
that.
we're on the Howard Stern show. Like people from the back office are just trying to.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
We need to get microphones out there too.
That would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great.
You can hear them on, I think, on the Facebook video a lot better than you can on the audio, but
I think I think it would be good though if you just had like a couple, because if we have Brad, he's like keeping a timer to see like how long our closing remarks are.
Yeah.
Well, I heard your guys' podcast. Your closing remarks for like 20 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
And that's just Steve.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
I'd say it does. It takes away that I don't know. The finish on this one is just it's not as much for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Even with
again,
the water?
with water, I think it kind of minimizes that,
Mhm.
so it's a little cleaner finish. For
Yeah,
me.
I think so too.
But it is just I don't know. It's very very good. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of those notes. When you said licorice, it's almost like
the-
that's
the
very
anise,
very
yeah.
very subtle. It's not like overpowering, but I mean it's not to get full trying to blog it out here, but it's I get some of that towards the end and that kind of takes it out. But maybe that's part of it is because I don't like black licorice.
Okay.
See, I love black licorice.
I do too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and when you said that,
is like just like
when you said that, I thought that exactly.
I feel like black licorice is one of those things that
what does
is.
it have on the nose?
I think it's one of those things that you don't have
It's
middle
so-
ground. It's not like I'm okay with black licorice.
I think it's spicy.
But smell that.
Well, these guys are talking about smelling. I'm saying like with black
Like,
licorice, I think there's a hard
that's actually
stance
literally
with black
chickens.
licorice.
Yeah,
Like
it
black
does. It
licorice
does. Like,
jelly
it's-
beans.
it's-
You either like really like them or you don't. It's not like I'm gonna eat it.
I'll say this about black licorice. Black licorice in America versus Europe are two completely different things.
Really? How so?
I can see that.
The taste is
Really
completely
good.
different. They add salt to it. They add a bunch of different things to it.
So they make it
that
better.
enhance the flavor.
Yeah,
And where black
sure.
licorice here is just like what you get from like Twizzlers or something like that. And it's
Just think of
not
jelly
the same.
beans.
No, jelly bean. It doesn't taste
Maybe
like
we should
that.
get some black Twizzlers.
No,
cut the ends
like-
off and drink it through.
They-
I would stop
As a
They
garnish.
put salt on the black licorice. They put honey. Like it.
because it sucks.
No, it's excellent. It's
No, theirs is
fantastic.
better. I'm saying
Theirs is
black
better.
licorice in general is terrible, so they're actually dressing it up. Is what you're
Yes,
saying in a roundabout
potentially.
way.
Potentially.
Jonathan Herring chimed in here from General. He was here
Oh,
with
what's
Ricky.
John have to say?
He says, just say no to black licorice. There's already 2 likes.
No, I like black.
Can we get 10? No.
I like black licorice.
But then he also went on to say he also hates jelly beans. I think Easter's a tough time for him.
Easter's,
I think he
How
has
do you
to be-
hate jelly beans?
I like
It's
I
just
said, I
pure
think he's
sugar.
got some personal issues going on.
It's just
Maybe
pure
like,
sugar.
like Easter time.
Yeah,
Just pure sugar.
maybe it's just eggs.
Can we get an update from the back room, Jonathan Herring?
Jonathan, how do you feel about
what's
Easter
going on
bunnies?
at home with Jonathan Herring?
I love the finish on this purely because I like this. I like this.
Stop Alex staying in it.
Yeah, I'm saying anything. I'm not going
Alright,
to this.
finish
strong.
it.
I just like it because I like the heavier tones on whiskey personally.
Closing remarks.
Under your breath.
I'm done. I'm
Right
done.
now, Dustin.
No.
While you guys were talking, I was kind of letting Ryan
Smell your center.
Were you waiting? Like, have you been waiting to say that shit?
I
Or did
did.
that just come up?
I came up with that
You're like
last
one of the
episode.
wittiest fucking-
Sniff your snifter?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Anyways, because there is a difference. There is a difference between your glass and my glass.
Well, especially now because I did do the 3 drips of water.
Yeah, and I don't know.
And you have the Glencairn, so you got
Okay.
that.
Karen.
Well, I don't even know how much water I put in this.
Guys
but I
all messed
think
me up now.
it drained out the cinnamon, and it just went to
With the water?
yeah,
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And it drained out the finish. It drained out the complexity, at least on the nose. And it
Yeah, I
turned
agree.
it turned into just I said gingerbread cookie. To you.
Right.
I prefer this with.
I responded with Carter.
Yeah,
Without-
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it does water. Like, and I didn't put a lot in. I mean,
No, I saw
did
that.
right. I mean, it definitely like kind of mellows it out, but it does take out the complexities. I agree with what you're saying about Rise, Alec. Is that there is like deeper tones, if you will, like
Yeah.
you said.
Like scotches. Eh?
That's
Very
why I really enjoy some of the Rise, like the ones we've mentioned. I like
Yeah.
the Willet, I like the 3-year. I've tended to like the
I have a bottle of
the
3-year.
3-year.
Yeah.
I've got 1 or 2 inside, but I don't want to drink it because now it's 4-year, and I don't care for what has come out so far with 4-year.
We've tried 2 4-years, and they haven't.
I like the
I gave a
3-year
bottle
better.
Of the 3-year to Lips as a gift. I wish I didn't have.
Yeah, they stopped. They changed it over to 4-year, but that stuff I like the same thing. There's a lot more like food flavors as opposed to like typical bourbons, where it's like you said, like some are sweet. There's going to be different notes there, but it's not like this. I mean, this is very much like that's where I can actually go into like the food flavors as opposed to some of the obscure things where and I have made fun of it in the past jokingly, but where Jake and some other people that are really into it and have really developed their palates where they can actually get into it and actually search for different notes. Like you even did it with the licorice and stuff like that. I wasn't even thinking
I
that,
made that up.
but when you said that, it made sense. So it's a good call.
There's no savory notes at all.
Savory?
Brian, we really should have brought the Glenfiddich 14.
It's in the car.
Yeah, we screwed it.
Well, pop a garage, we could ship it out a whole new door.
There's Alicia Ferguson says, "Who's the hottie in blue?" That would be Jake Sanders.
Yeah, and that would be my girlfriend.
Sorry, he's taken. But stay tuned.
Thanks.
Stay tuned for future episodes.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing?
Just checking. Just checking.
Making sure there
What
was.
were you looking for there?
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
just for the people on the audio, you don't want to know what you saw.
No, well, I didn't know if he had something on underneath.
He's going. I'm sure he does, but
What's that supposed to be? I don't know what it is. What
he's going like Florida style. Right?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need
Like
to
animal style when you go
A
to
couple
Animal?
more. You're working for Caldwell.
Yeah. Shots fired.
It's all in love. It's all in love. It's all in love. It's all
I
in
know
love.
that one.
That's true. No secrets there.
So what about the cigar? What about the Prensado?
It's like, whoa.
Tell me.
No. What about the Prensado? We had the Lost Art the last time. We had the Prensado Lost Art.
The Lost Art.
The last time. The Prensado Lost Art, right?
Of
Yeah,
communication.
I lost, sorry.
Well, Prensado Lost Art of Communication. That's what we had last time.
Yeah, we did.
So now we have the original Prensado.
Correct.
What about this?
What do you need to know? Tell me.
I don't know.
You're smoking it. You tell me.
Steve
You're
normally,
further than I
Steve
am.
normally does the cigars thing.
We
So I didn't.
we got a Honduran Corojo, we got a Nicaraguan binder, we got a Honduran Nicaraguan fillers on it.
You say it for the whole class.
Yeah, speak into that.
I forget that there's people here.
Well, and
That's
then
the whole
the
thing of the
audience,
podcast.
too.
There's also
Intimate-
thousands of people out there looking at you.
Hi, everybody.
You got quieter.
Yeah.
I'm nervous speaking in front of phones.
Speak to the back of the garage.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. I put a little Steve in that
That was
one. I did
nice.
too. Yeah, that was it.
That was nice. That was nice.
No, you got a Honduran Corojo wrapper, you got Nicaraguan binder, you have Honduran Nicaraguan fillers. Yeah, I mean this is the flag. This is it. This is the Alec Bradley. You know, this is #1 cigar of the year back in 2010, 2011. You correct me. 2011, 2012.
I thought it was 10 in aficionado.
I could be wrong. I've been drinking.
I thought it was 10, but it's around that.
I really got my nose in that sniff.
10, 11.
I don't know what to tell.
But it was definitely, and that's one of the reasons why we have the subject we have tonight. We'll get into it shortly. But
Absolutely.
What was your involvement? I'm going to ask Alec, what was the involvement at this time when this won that award? Were you involved in the company? Were you doing something else? Where were what was
It
the
depends
level?
if it was 2010, 11, or 12.
When this money? Let's take a year out of it.
I was either in high school or just starting college,
Okay.
so almost no involvement whatsoever.
Okay.
I mean, I was working in the warehouse or doing, phone sales, but in terms of blending, I just started smoking at that time, so
Okay.
there was not a lot that I was even doing at that time with
Right.
the company.
Do you remember how it really affected the company though?
Oh yeah, it was insane. It was
Huge.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Now, do you care for the cigar? I mean, is this one of your top go-tos, or is it more the more recent projects for you?
I mean, it's just definitely something I smoke and something that's in my lineup. But I mean, I'm spending so much time blending and
Yeah.
doing that other stuff that when I do come back to smoke our core product, especially for quality control, all of that, I love it. It's a great cigar.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. John Herring says 2011, so.
Oh, wonderful. That's what I said.
Did we
2011.
still get the clearance on his mental state? That's what we need to know before we.
I haven't scanned back through the comments here.
About the
He
age.
did say never go full Caldwell.
Never go full
But again, all love there. All love.
Riding high seat bicycles in no time. No.
But so this is the Churchill though, and we don't
Correct.
carry the Churchill at the
No, you guys
tender
carry
box, but we
Toro. You guys
Toro
carry
is the one we carry.
We used to have the double Toro. Is that
I
correct?
smoked the Corona Gordo a lot
Do you?
myself. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. and that's
We've
nice.
carried the Robusto. The Toro has been the major seller in double Toro, and really it's
The torpedo is actually excellent as well.
torpedo is.
Yeah,
You actually
excellent.
brought that not too long ago. I remember to the shop. I smoked one.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
We
good.
did do
Very
that.
good.
Yeah.
Because I made a comment about that I really liked the way it was smoking. But,
It's excellent. torpedo.
torpedoes just don't sell as well
No.
as a whole.
No.
I'm sure you see that.
Yeah,
you guys see
absolutely,
that
yeah.
in the
We were just
and
having
across all the lines.
Yeah, we were just having a debate whether we thought torpedoes or Churchill sell better now, and I'm like, what do you guys see?
box pressed.
Box press, yeah. I'd say it.
But as far as torpedoes or
Churchills.
Churchills.
Churchill.
That's what I
I
said. I
would
said
say.
Churchills, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because
Churchills.
most people are going to that Lancero in the shop. Like,
The nice thing about a Churchill is a 48 ring gauge, which
A
is
classic
if it's
one,
classical,
yeah. But
yeah,
you know, like the V Churchill, they call it Churchill Extra. And they added some
I think they
size
made
to
that
it.
up.
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's a
Probably.
cigar industry.
But I see the Churchills starting to sell. I mean, again, it's time of the year also, right? So Churchills will not sell typically as well in the Midwest, at least during the fall, winter, and all that, where they don't have the time to smoke.
I think Churchills are a golf course cigar also.
They do well there.
Yeah.
But then you
If
have
me
some
with a
state-
Churchill, I'd go, that guy has nothing to do today. And I love that. That's my favorite
Sure.
guy.
I found that.
That's why I started smoking more. I started smoking more Churchill. If you see me with a Churchill, don't fucking talk to me because I'm not working.
Well, you
At
smoked the
all.
Mundial number 8s intentionally because
Yeah.
what size is the number
weird.
eight?
It's weird that I said that because I'm smoking a Churchill.
that's a freaking great cigar, by the way.
It's a longer
It's a
cigar,
longer
yeah.
cigar.
The Mundial, I love that
very,
cigar.
very. You know, it's weird when I say comments like when I say underrated because I mean it was a top 25 cigar. It's
Oh, yeah.
40. You know, It's an exceptionally it's a very overlooked cigar
Yes.
in that portfolio. I mean, we even had a guy come up to us today while we were talking to Brian.
But what was the story behind that when it first came out, though?
We shot it to space.
Yeah, so when you do that, I feel like you come on a little strong with the marketing.
Well,
you're like, this cigar probably doesn't taste all that good, and they're like just overcompensated by shooting it to space.
Well, so Moody
shoot
is
it.
worldly, so we were like, let's
Right.
get it out of the world, you know? Let's go to this place.
Flavor's not of the Zerk.
Where
was
did it-
was the we launched it from I say we like I was fucking there. I wasn't.
Were you?
I wasn't there.
I wasn't there. I was in fucking
I
McKeesport
flew away.
slinging dried leaves to a bunch
When
of
I'm
people.
looking at like a movie scene in like the control room,
Yeah.
which computer were you on?
I was
Number
on the
3.
one to the left, and my headset was not on. I
The
had
headset's
no idea
off
what was
because
going.
you're stressed.
Yeah.
No.
I think I was the guy going like
So-
this. Like
you don't
I
think?
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't think it through.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we
The
talking
fingers through your hairless
about?
head.
The fingers through my hairless head. No.
No, he had locks back then.
Locks.
Yeah.
Thick locks in a man bun. But no, I mean, so the whole thing, the whole thing with the marketing was they took the money out, they loaded it. I think they used a GoPro or something. They attached it to it. They put it on a space balloon and
A
launched
weather
it from
balloon.
Phil Maloof's weather balloon. They launched it from Phil Maloof's condo on top of the
In
palms.
Vegas, yeah.
And that was the whole tagline. It was flavors not of this earth. It's actually one of my computer backgrounds. The fucking Mondial's like literally with like fucking goddamn what's his name's Tesla flying by going to fucking Mars.
Musk.
Yeah, Musk.
You guys actually did this?
Yeah, this fucking happened. This ain't just bullshit.
So
It's on
that
YouTube.
was
this
kind
is
of
on YouTube.
I love the creativity, but I'm saying like when you launch a cigar and that's like the whole like marketing behind it. And I also thought it was originally like a limited release. Is
No,
that part
no.
I
of
don't
it?
think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I thought
It was
I don't
not.
know. There was a lot of
Oh,
marketing.
it was.
behind
It was. When we started out, we were only doing like 3,000 to 5,000 boxes.
That's
a
what I
year.
thought.
Yep.
That's what I
Oh,
thought.
limited production.
Yeah,
Yeah,
limited
it wasn't like
So,
it
yeah,
wasn't
okay,
like a
limited
one and done
production.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, Moody, I think, is one of our more refined cigars in terms
Yes.
of flavor.
Yes.
That's one thing I always say, and people like just say yes.
You know what?
Yes.
Fuck it, guys. Let me go get some Moody. No.
Yeah.
We're here
Throw
talking
these
about
out.
Prensado.
Yes,
Let's go.
please go get them.
I don't
I
have
love
them.
it. Damn it.
No, I think it's
Pittsburgh.
we talk about a lot though with and we talked about on the podcast. There are certain brands that they do, and when Alec and I were talking earlier, you had mentioned that you're working on so many different blends, but you're trying to like match them up with names and ideas, and like because that is part of it. It's not just putting on a good cigar. That's the core of it. Obviously, you want to
Yes.
have a good cigar, well constructed, aged tobacco, blended to get a certain flavor profile, whatever. But when it comes down to it, like what do you call it, how do you market it, all that
Yes.
stuff, because that is part of the consuming side of it.
Thank you.
But I will say that Alec Bradley, you guys have a gigantic portfolio.
Yeah, and it's growing.
Yeah, and it's growing. It's not because some companies, I know you guys just acquired a new company that's going to really take you guys in a different direction, which is
Yeah.
interesting, but you
So-
guys don't have, I'll let you speak on that, but it's like there's not like multiple, it's not like General, or it's not like Altadis, and it's like that's how they're so massive, is that they have massive lines, but they're stacked on top of
I
each
think-
other, and
I think-
they have a wide
Well, no,
scope.
I feel like they focus more on their lines as where, like, who says I buy general product? They don't say that. They
Correct.
Say, it's in a line name.
Yeah, I smoke
I
Monte
think, I
Cristo.
think we're an
so-
iceberg.
You're an iceberg.
We're an iceberg. You like there's only so much
Just
of
the
the
tip.
portfolio that you actually see, and then there's a lot that you just don't see. And, even though we do have a wide portfolio, over the years, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of not overwhelming the retailers or the consumers with saying like, hey, here's a 10-page catalog from Alec Bradley of all the cigars you could buy.
No.
It's always kept it in sort of.
We've
You know,
always
we
tried to keep it on one paper.
Right,
One sentence.
right. It might go from an 8.5 by 11 to 11 by 17, but it's still one piece of
Poster size like
poster
that, like
size
11
right there.
point font. Yeah,
absolutely.
But no, but you guys have also done something that I feel like some of the big boys are taking note of. There's two companies that I see that have done it over the years, different regards. Like Rocky's another one, but then he went the route of, I think, at least the factories. I don't know if he's growing any tobacco. Bless you. But he's doing different countries and stuff like that, where some of the mainstays are
Different
going to be.
countries of tobacco, like different tobacco for different
They're
countries.
just not only are they have many cigars, but they also have just like all Nicaraguan cigars. And,
Yes.
like they were doing a lot of Honduran stuff
Yes.
originally. Where I feel like you guys did a lot of Honduran stuff originally as well, and that's what a lot of your big ones were known for. So you have some of the big companies also that were just doing all Dominican.
Yes.
And then like of recent years, they're adding Nicaraguan. They're like following the trends that companies like Alec Bradley have really set out and actually done before. Where the negative is someone smokes an Alec Bradley cigar and it was a Honduran, mainly Honduran blend, and they're just like, whatever it is.
We've actually never even done a Honduran Puro. Everything we do, like 95% of what we do is Honduran Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
But because they're rolled in Honduras, people tend to think that they are fully Honduran cigars.
Right.
I would love to do a Honduran Puro.
Yeah.
That's a project I want to
I
do.
think you should, yeah.
It's something that I love Honduran tobacco, so it's something I'm passionate about. So I've been working on that already, but the majority of stuff that we do is Honduran Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
It's always been that way, and we have some stuff that are Nicaraguan Puros, probably 3 or 4 in our portfolio.
Yeah.
And even we were talking about the Blind Faith, that started as a Nicaraguan Puro and ended up becoming a Honduran Nicaraguan mix.
Is that right? Well, I guess that's a great point. My thing is that some people go to they'll just categorize as a retail side of it is, have you tried this? And they're like, oh no, it's Alec Bradley. I don't like Alec Bradley. I say, well, what have you had from Alec Bradley? And they may not even recall, but they smoked an Alec Bradley once.
Yeah.
And didn't care for it.
That's
and
something we'll also talk about later, because that will come.
So it's like
why that may have happened.
It's just such a vast portfolio that there's some similarities, but then you have what 3 different factories, and people
4,
that you're working with 4 now.
Technically 5, but 4.
Yeah. So, but it's like you have this stuff coming from all over, from different factories, from different blenders, if you will. So it's just like the portfolio is so great that you can't just say, oh, I don't like Alec Bradley cigars based on one.
Yeah.
Right.
Where there are some other brands that you can't really say that without. You should always try different ones, but there's some similarities between some of like the brands that are all mainly Dominican, mainly Honduran, or even mainly Nicaraguan. If you don't like what they're blending, they have one blender, and they're doing it for their palate. They may not like what they're tasting.
We work with Plasencia, and for those that don't know, the Plasencia family grows so much tobacco. They roll so many cigars for so many companies. And then we also have a cigar that's made by Davidoff that it gets completely overlooked. And
Which one's that?
Occidental Reserve. It's actually our bundle product.
It's our oldest.
It's our oldest
I don't even
line that we
know.
have,
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was just like back in the day, that was like the thing, because everybody found out it was a Davidoff product and it just exploded.
It was
At a lower price.
product.
Absolutely.
How long ago are we talking?
We're talking
years,
yeah.
15 plus years.
Yeah, I'd say probably even close to 20 at this point.
So early 2000s, like late 90s?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Okay.
Early 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have a Jonathan Lipson saying, "Speak up, Alec. I can't hear you over Ryan Ponist booming voice."
That's weird. You must not have talked during that time.
I'm just reading the comments. I mean, that's part of the job.
Yeah, I love it.
Jonathan Lipson's my work wife, just so you know.
Your work wife.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's waiting
I
for
always
Alec.
said
Where is
that-
Jonathan tonight?
He's waiting for Alec to bring on the bacon. No.
Yeah. Back in Florida.
Oh,
Waiting for me to come
nice.
home.
Jonathan, cheers to you. We'll get him home safe.
Cheers to you, buddy.
I had a question for Alec and
You lost
maybe
it?
even Ryan, where no, I was just stating, so I got my 2 cents in. No, I was thinking about, because I'm not like the greatest fan of box press, but so when you're blending cigars and such, are you taking different blends and then also different styles, or would those be called vitolas?
Yeah.
So are you taking all those and like considering what's in the taste, and then you decide on what is your like flagship shape of that cigar?
So the interesting is between a normal just round cigar and a box press, you actually have to add an extra leaf of tobacco into a box press because it opens up a space when you box press it. So there's times that we'll smoke something and it'll just be regular round vitola, and we'll box press it and it'll be a completely different cigar. Better, worse, whatever it is, it's different.
I've heard the opposite is that you take a leaf out.
No, you add a leaf. I believe you add a leaf.
That's interesting.
Again, I've been drinking.
No, but it was the same point, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like maybe there is different techniques to it, honestly, and maybe like the round box press, which is typically what you guys do,
Yeah.
versus a little bit harder box press.
Yeah, we do a soft press.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a Cuban box.
But that's very, very interesting. That the point is that you're saying that it changes it.
Yeah.
But when you have, so you say you're working on all those, how many blends would you say ballpark it? How many blends do you? So Alec does a lot of the blending right now for the company, right? You're working on it. It's like,
I'm participating in that part. I wouldn't say I fully have
Okay.
control of that.
But that's a big part of your job
a big
right
part
now.
of what I'm doing is every day we're smoking blends.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many do you think you're working on right now? Ballpark. 10, 20, 30?
20?
20?
20?
So of those, do you have them all in the same Vitola, the same size? Typically, when you're doing like a
usually
test
we
blend.
blend off a Toro, but I had stuff
Toro.
from Robustos also that I'm
Yeah.
smoking. So.
But typically it's a round Toro
Yes.
or Robusto
Yes.
is typically what they do. And then once you start honing down on one that you really like, then do you start, say, all right, roll
So,
this blend in a different
Post
shape?
embargo started out as a round Vitola, and I don't know who said it. Like, let's just try box pressing
Yeah.
it, and it smoked a million times better,
Really?
and just completely changed the cigar, and that's what we ended up coming out with. It wasn't meant to be box pressed originally, but it ended up becoming box pressed.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Prensado was always meant to be box pressed. Because it's called Prensado, which means pressed. So that would explain that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think it's a great cigar. I think this was one of the first cigars when I started working at the Tinderbox that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
That was when we
You're
had.
saying that.
No, I really did. It was this and.
And then he met you, and then he's like,
Yeah, I don't
fuck
know.
this cigar.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. I like this better than the Lost Art. I will say.
I do too.
I think it has a lot more
I smoke
complexity
more of the
to
Lost
it.
Arts than probably the regular Pensados right now.
Really.
There's a smoothness to this, though. I feel like there's a balance to it.
You're saying the Lost
No,
Arts?
I think Prensado, even though I feel like it's known to be, there's the pepper we're getting here right now in the retro hail, but Prensado Lost Art is a hair lighter as far as
It's a hair
strength.
lighter, but it has this oaky undertone to it.
Yeah,
And a
that's-
nice sweetness that I really appreciated it.
I just feel like it's more in your face. I mean, just
Really?
because, yeah, I think, and maybe it's the retro hail, but there's something about it that there's maybe, I don't know if it's pepper, I'd have to smoke it again here, but it's something that where this is, there's a lot of balance to this cigar, which I
Yeah,
think
there's
is
a
what I
nice
like
pepper,
about
there's
it.
a nice chocolatey sweetness to it. I get it.
It's
Yeah.
a strange cigar because, like, anytime I ever explain it, and like you're talking about, you know, the different notes and flavor profile that it adds, a lot of people go, "Oh, well, seems like there's a lot going on." It's like, well, I think it's a complex cigar, but it's very well balanced. You know,
Yes.
it's not like all this stuff is running amok. Like you're definitely seeing. You know, I think that when I think of a fine cigar, like this is hands down one of them.
No, I agree completely. And again, it's not that I don't like the Lost Art. I'm just
I
talking
know, I
about
was
the
just
difference of it.
yeah.
But you guys shouldn't have put the Lost Art out there because it sucks. No, I do. I like it. It's just fun.
Get the bottle, we're leaving.
Can I get one more pour real quick?
Absolutely not.
No, it's funny. We were also talking about, and I'll say that while we have you here, is I mentioned while we were talking earlier today, around 4 o'clock after you guys had lunch together, but it was doing a line extension is, in my opinion, in anything like so. One of the whiskeys are the same way, right? So the brand typically is the distillery or is the major brand, but then you have the one-offs of even those. You know what I mean? So
Well, look at the rye. I mean,
Yeah.
the maple cask is an
Right.
extension of that. So,
right.
which one of those did you like better? Neither.
No, I like them both. I like this. Like I've already given my opinion of this one, but as far as the maple one, I gave it on that night. It's good for what it was. It wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be much more.
You were
like a
pleasantly
flavor.
surprised. by
Very
that.
pleasantly surprised because it was more subtle. Because the way you explained it even tonight is that they aged it. Then they put it back in barrels that had been filled with maple syrup that were originally bourbon barrels,
Very
and then they went back.
incestuous
So yeah,
relationship.
exactly.
Or maple relationship.
Very
Yeah, but
much
the
so.
fact that it's more raw than just like taking this flavor binge that everyone's doing right now, like trying to grab
Like the
a
apple
part
and
of
honey,
like
yeah.
trying to grab a part of this cocktail world, but you know,
Very
unbeknownst to them, they did that without even like trying to flavor
It was
it.
something
It's
that
what
naturally
vodka was
wasn't
doing.
forced.
8
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
But they were infusing it, and
Yes.
that was all the craze. They were
Yeah.
selling it, so it was the same way back in the day when like old fashioned and Manhattans came out. They were trying to come up with things to sell these spirits, and I think that's what vodka was doing. And then whiskey started taking a look at it. We're like, we could probably do this too, and that was where like the
One,
apple.
two people did it, and then it just
yeah,
kind of snowballed.
absolutely. And more people could drink it because they weren't bourbon people. Like, oh, it says apple. Like, let's try it. Like, oh, that's not.
Right.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I did want to
Fireball,
mention
I
one
mean, come on.
thing.
Fireball was huge.
Fireball was
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and it still is huge.
What
Yeah.
was the original name of Fireball? It was like something
Firewater?
No, like cinnamon schnapps is what it used to be
Well,
called.
cinnamon
Makes
schnapps
sense.
is a real thing.
Yeah.
No, that's
that-
what it was. They just rebranded it as Fireball.
Well, there's another one that is cinnamon. It's schnapps. It's like
No, that's what Fireball is. I believe it's just
Yeah, I think it's just
It's
well,
the
I think
Buffalo
what-
Trace version of it, using their
Or it's
stuff.
like-
I think that's essentially what it is. I think there's a
Goldschlager, fuck that.
Oh,
yeah. I did want to
I
say
feel like you had a memory to that.
I mean, I don't.
I did want to say
Yeah.
one thing where we didn't mention. Well, I didn't mention, but I did finally. I was able to finally retrohale
I know.
the last
That's
like week or
awesome.
so. No, it's good.
It's awesome.
Because I'm getting.
You just started to learn how to retrohale?
Well, so yes,
Yeah.
but
That's a big step.
I didn't understand exactly the way that it was explained. I wasn't understanding it, and it was kind of. I don't think I'm exactly doing it the way that I was explained to do it, but I'm doing it.
If it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, so
you get the flavor through the nose.
I'm getting
you can't really taste it
the-
through your nose, but
I'm getting through the pepper that you guys are talking about.
That's a big.
That's
when,
the
when you
biggest
first
thing.
start doing it. You know,
Like, I retrohaled. I've been really loving Steve Saka's stuff right now. I don't know why I didn't
Yeah.
before, but
Yeah,
maybe it's
actually
just my
started smoking some earlier
it's
today.
just my palate. But like, I've been loving the Sober Mesas and the Micaritas. Now the retrohale between the Micarita and the Sober Mesa is completely different.
Oh, for sure.
I started crying
Yeah.
when I did it
Oh.
with
well, that's just what
the
happens when you start
Micarita.
retrohaling. It will get to
Yeah,
you.
it's just the
It
pepper.
burns the first couple
Yeah.
times
the
too.
pepper's so dominant.
But it's the pepper that I never noticed in the Prensado that because I always thought it was so rich, so smooth, it was complex but balanced, like what you said. But I never got that pepper that Steve was always talking about, and what you guys were talking about. And then I just did it, and I literally, I could feel it all the way up in my head, like it was
It's just
just.
science.
Clears the science.
Yeah, it's just science. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an interesting experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saving.
Saving for our Facebook viewers, real quick.
The point I was trying to make, though, was looking at the Prensado, looking at the Prensado Lost Art, and the whole conversation, as far as the topic, I think I told Ryan first when he had messaged me that, hey, Alec is able to be on. We're going to have him on. We're going to do the Prensado, right? I think you suggested the Prensado.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
We'll have to run back the tape.
Well, yeah, I think we thought it was something that you guys didn't do.
Right.
We thought you guys having the Toro in the shop, and it's always been, a seller for you guys. Plus, you guys are, going back to our conversation earlier about, you enjoying the Torpedo. You guys have those limited edition Bellicosos that we've never done before.
On the
coming
way.
at the Tinderbox later this month. So,
I'm excited.
Good
yeah,
plug.
we thought that was a shameless plug. Come on, man. Why am I here?
Everything you do
Why
is
am I here?
shameless.
I thought
Why
that's
am
what
I
we were
here?
supposed to have tonight. The Bellicosos.
No, I don't have.
Yeah,
They're-
they're not released yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't get spoiled. We had Ricky on and he had a
You should just give him a
cigar.
torpedo.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I'm just saying
I
that's
like
where
it.
he's at. That's probably where his head's at right now. But
I literally thought you said that we were going to have the Bellicosos on.
oh, I may have. That might be on me. I just know that when you had said the Prensado, my point is that when you said the Prensado, having Alec on, my brain started working as like, what would be the topic that we could actually
Right.
branch off of this, having
Right.
someone like Alec
Right.
in here, and I think there's two sides of it. Is that brand or that line extension. So you get all this praise. So the whole congratulations, now what thing. And I know that your dad Alan had this. I get it's pretty famous in the cigar industry as far as that interview you had with I think it was Aficionado.
Yeah.
So about how that changes everything. So you got the award, you got like you won the medal, all this stuff, and now it's like now what? Like how do you actually respond to that? How do you move forward? And there's a lot of things where I look at having you on here and with the Prensado going to the Lost Art. So it's like even with a certain cigar, it's like what are we going to do next that actually can hold that name Prensado on there that was this highly accoladed as far as the prize and everything else, and everyone looks at that list as the top list, and that's the most credible list.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there? And then the other part of it, and I'm just trying to introduce the subject here, is that same thing with you and your brother Bradley.
Yeah.
Your names are on every cigar.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks, not everyone, but there's a lot of people in the industry that think Alec Bradley is a person.
Yeah.
And when you say, like we joked about it, someone's like, oh, I met Alec Bradley or Alex Bradley.
Alex Baldwin.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, that guy's great or that guy's an asshole or whatever they say, but it's one of those
All
things
the
where
above.
all the above.
Yeah.
It's now where do you now you're getting involved in the company and you're doing all this stuff and it's had these this reputation, and now it's kind of moving from the one generation to the next generation. It's all family driven. Like, where do you go from there? And those are the kind of topics that I want to introduce, with that. Congratulations, now what? And you can get into other things like when you have a promotion at a job, you know what I mean? Or you get married in life, in the relationship. It's like, hey, congratulations. It's like, hey, and you have this big wedding, and you have this big promotion party. Like, hey, you got the big job. And then once everyone leaves and you go to sleep, you wake up the next day and you're like, all right, now how do you respond to that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you go from there?
I think for me, with the whole topic, and again, this is like most nights where I have no idea what I'm going to say until Steve kind of presents it when he's the one that comes up with the topic. But I think for me, congratulations, now what is really one of those things where it's truly a mindset for me. And what I mean by that is when you make a feat that you've been striving towards, or maybe you didn't even strive to that point, it just kind of happened. You worked your ass
Like
off.
this,
yeah, and it worked out right. Like, I think that like the cigar industry and the whiskey industry is something that is, you're kind of, you do your best and you see what really comes out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then sometimes like it's really kind of a weird industry, both industries, because you're betting on people that have big names that are critics. And so when they say something, it kind of influxes the rest of the industry.
Absolutely.
But I think for someone on a smaller level, whether you get a promotion or you get married, I think it's one of those things that it's just the way you think about it. Are you going to let your foot off the gas and just kind of relax? Or are you going to keep your foot on the gas? And here's where I get kind of bent out of shape about it, is that when people keep their foot on the gas, they get irritated when something isn't happening. So say that they get a promotion or they get married or something great happens, they get an award, they keep their foot on the gas, they work really hard, and then it doesn't happen within the time frame that they want it to because they're eager and they have the drive for it, right? But then it doesn't happen. So what do you do? And I say that no, it's one of those things that you do your due diligence, you keep your foot on the gas, but it's really at the world's will, if you will, is as to what happens next. It's out of your control. The only thing that you can control is the effort that you put into it, if you will. And I think that that's really, really important, because some people they'll keep their foot on the gas and they'll drive themselves into the ground. The perfect example for me, and the one thing that I hate, is like quotas that businesses have, or that I look at quotas as a goal, not a guideline. And I've never been in a management position, or I've never been in a hierarchy of a business, but as a lower man on the totem pole, that's what pissed me off when I was in that position, when I had a hierarchy or a boss saying that we have to reach this quota. And it's like, okay, so how far are we off this quota? And what are you going to do to fix it? And what are you going to do to fix it? And probably they're asking me that question, but it's kind of like, that was the goal. I didn't realize that this was like a guideline. It doesn't mean that I worked any less harder at it.
Yeah, it's like once you hit the goal, does that mean I stopped working?
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense to me when people, especially businesses, get in, and even people that own their own businesses, get pissed off at a quota that doesn't reach. And it's like, what? Okay, like what are you? Why are you mad?
Well, I think that's both sides of it. Is that if you don't have that quota, right, then it's like so you got the salesman of the year or salesman of the month or whatever it is, and then you just coast, right? But you say you're working hard or whatever. But if you don't have those quotas like you're mentioning, there's a bigger, it is a cog in the major wheel, right? So like the business, you're trying to forecast. You're trying to forecast for other things, because with that, it's not just about making sales. If you hit certain numbers and if you see the growth, and there are things that are outside threats. I mean, you have the whole SWOT analysis when you're looking at a business. For those of you, it's the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And there's the two strengths and weaknesses are internal opportunity to press or external, right? Those are things that are happening outside the business.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at quotas and you're looking at numbers and sales fixes everything, a lot of the times there's this 12, 18, 24 month forecasting that, you know, if we're going this way, if our goal is to expand the business in this amount, we need to hit these goals. And we did this, you know, prior. Right. And the smart way to do it is not just month after month after month, because there is calendar years, there's weather cycles, and depending on what business you're in, cigars, I'm sure, much the same way. Ryan and Alec, you know, but Ryan is in the midst of it, right? Where it's like, yeah, Midwest is a little slow because winter went on 2 extra months, and we all know that there's a reason July is higher than February, you know, as far as sales and the way that it all goes. But I mean, when you're looking at it from a sales manager or from a business standpoint, you have to have those quotas. But the other side is what you're saying is that I'm busting my ass. It's like I can't make people go outside in 30-degree weather and smoke a Churchill. Why are Churchills not selling right now? Yeah, last year when you look at the calendar in this region, it was 50, 60 degrees. It was unseasonably warm. And now you're bouncing me off of last year's figures only.
You're trying to measure seasonality and those kind of things, and it's almost not possible.
The smart way to do it is, if you're looking at that, it's not just go off of last calendar year. It's actually to go 3-5 years back, average it all out, and that's where you go from it.
Yeah, but when you're like trying to, if it's a new business and you're just projecting something absurd just because you had like a big deal or like a big promotion that it made people go out and actually do this. Like look at the Monte Cristo like giveaway that we're doing at the Tinderbox right now. I mean, I bet if you looked at it, Monte Cristo sales are up. Why? Like, because there's a fucking giveaway. Yeah. Like it
just like tonight, we probably sold more Alec Bradleys from like 2 to 6 than we would have if you guys weren't here and we put it out there and all that stuff.
And that's just it. So basically, what you're sort of getting at is like you can look at things at an analytical standpoint, and I'll give you a great example. I had a shop that when I took over wasn't doing super hot with our products, and they are extremely organized, analytical shop. They'll show you paperwork on what's going on, and numbers and this and that, and pie charts and ratios, all that stuff. And you know, they come to me and they said, ironic that we're talking about, Mundial isn't selling. We've looked at the numbers. Mundial won't sell for 2 years before we move an entire box of Mundial. And then they show up at the trade show and they walk up and they said, we owe you an apology. And I said, what's that? And they said, we started looking at the numbers and we started looking at what we were doing. But when we actually took those numbers and tried to apply them to actually how they fit in our business, and we went and we looked at the actual cigars and whatever, we found that Mundial was on the bottom shelf on the lid of another box, and like unless you're basically on your knees, you'll never see that cigar. So
product placement.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's a good business owner to recognize.
Absolutely.
Because they understand circumstance. And they're not just a fucking bullheaded person that just wants to make money. They get
it. There's always seasonal stuff, you know, especially in our sort of business. You know, you got a guy that says, hey, you know, last year I took 30 boxes of this in June. This year I sold 2. Well, I also forgot I did a golf outing last year and we featured this cigar and we did that, and you know, stuff like that.
I think the other side of it though is that if you look at just even down to a day, hey guys, you know, as a sales team last year, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Maybe that's not what you put people's pay at or commission. Like again, I think there's more to it. They got to average out more past than just last year on this date, because last year on this date, it was a Thursday, or say it was a Saturday in the retail business, and now it's a Sunday, or like, it's going to be different numbers.
Right.
But if you go into it and you say, hey guys, you know, yesterday we sold $5,000. Like, let's try to beat that today. But like, it's not. It's just more of like that's a very core, very simplistic way of looking at it. But it's just, you know, just at surface level. Hey guys, you know, we did $5,000 yesterday. Let's try to do $550, or you know, like 5,500, 5,500 today. And if you have a team that's doing well and everything, you don't hit it, it's not like the end of the world. But that's that old school thing, like even elementary school. Hey guys, if we read more books this month, we're gonna have a pizza party. I mean, it's a very simplistic way of dealing with people that are like trying to hit those numbers. Yeah. But as far as when you have compensation there, it should be bonuses But I'm saying, like, from compensation, you should have a more well thought out thing, like you're saying. You look at that.
There's also a difference between, you know, trying to reach a goal and numbers completely falling off, though, in my opinion. Because, yeah, you could be on pace for what you were doing last year, and at least you're still on pace for what you did the year prior, and maybe because your goal's going to be higher this year. But then numbers falling off is a completely different thing.
Right.
And that's where I think that managers or, you know, business owners start getting pissed off, where it's not, oh, he's just at pace with last year. He's going to figure out a way to grow it, seasonality, all that stuff. But his numbers are actually dropping off.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing.
And there's multiple stats I think you have to look at while we're talking about this. Is that, you know, you don't just necessarily look at, like, if you're in a call-in business, right? And it's like, hey, your sales are down. It's like, well,
It's a call-in business.
it's a call-in business, and like, what are are the calls coming in like they were
Right.
based on what we're looking at? And they're like, oh, let me look at that. Like, well, no, those are actually down 20%. Sales are down 10%. It's like, my job is to answer the phones and to continue to, like, work the sales. We're working the sales, the potential sales, harder or better, if you will, or more effectively, more accurately, and that the marketing of the business needs to pick it up. Or maybe when you kind of not point the finger, but based on stats, the finger gets pointed back at the manager or the owner or whoever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are we doing to bring in more calls?
Yeah.
Or bring in more traffic?
What kind of advertising are we doing to bring it
Right,
in?
and then they might even say, they might be the one then to say, like, well, you know what, last year was actually warmer than this year, like, because
Not
all of a
just that,
sudden
what
they feel like there's got to be a reason for
What
it.
if they dropped advertising dollars year over year, and
Yeah.
now less calls are coming in? That's you can't blame the salesperson for that.
But where do you get back to, like, the whole thing, like, with you guys, you know, like, as far as Alec Bradley, when you win an award like that, you know, it's like, that is something where obviously that's going to skew your numbers because you get this high prize.
The jump was unreal.
Yeah, so from
Year over year.
Yeah, from the year before, the year that you were awarded, right, and the following year after that announcement came out, that list comes out, the top 25, and you got number 1, Alec Bradley, Prensado,
Yeah.
I forget which size it was.
Churchill,
Right, we're smoking right here. How did that affect business immediately? Like,
Well,
like again,
We
congratulations,
were
now
sold out-
what?
We were sold out within the hour of all Prensado we had.
Gone.
Everything out, yeah, gone. Within
Shops
the hour.
calling you.
Yep, shops calling us. We're not doing a single thing at that point. Shops calling reps, shops calling into the office. Just sold out probably within a half hour, I believe, actually. But it was a crazy day because my dad and I were going to head to the office. I was doing phone sales at the time, and my mom was just like, "Wait, let's just kind of see what happens," because we didn't get top 25. We didn't get 2 through 25 at that point. She's like, "Let's just see what happens. Just wait."
And you
don't
truly, at least at that point, you did not know. Like aficionado does not notify you.
No. No. It'd be great if they did, because then we could prepare, but no, they don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, not to get off topic, but to add on to the topic of congratulations, now what? You know, I think the interesting thing about that statement, and I've thought about it since you brought it up earlier today, is we associate congratulations with success.
Correct.
And I think, like, for that particular scenario, you know, I would be interested to actually ask Alan this. You know,
Well, you only have me, sorry.
but I only have you, and you were 12 or something. I don't know. But
He was in high school or college.
18.
18. We'll go with 18.
19, yeah.
So, you know, I think the thing is, congratulations, you got number 1 cigar of the year. But I would be curious to know if Alan actually was aware that success wasn't success and that the work was, like, just beginning.
Well, it's a
know
level
what I
of
mean? Like,
success,
No,
right?
he was not
Right.
aware of that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you know, when you look at it, you know, there's only so much time you can devote to getting pats on the back before you realize that you just now get your hands dirty. Like you talked about putting your foot on the pedal and stepping down.
But that's the difference of the mindset thing.
Correct.
Like, it's just whether or not, because most people, especially if they spend a longer amount of time reaching a goal, and once that goal happens, I think they are more likely to let their foot off the pedal than to keep it on.
So one thing I will say, actually, I take back what I said about him not realizing, because I think when we got to the office and congratulated everyone and gave a short speech and basically said, the work starts now.
Okay.
Knowing him, I'm 99% sure he would have said that. So
Yeah.
It's like it's like it's the same thing as a champion, right? In any athletic organization, anything you're doing, right? You win the belt, you win the title, all that stuff. It's that mentality that Jake's talking about. Is that all right? So do you just celebrate and then you just kind of go easy, or do you just say, all right, now I got to work harder and defend the
You
title?
want me to walk you through the process of everything that happened when?
I think
when we got
yes.
having you here,
Yes.
I think you absolutely should if you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. So,
Do you mind speaking up just a little bit?
yeah, absolutely. For those that can't hear me.
Don't yell at me.
Okay. So,
Pull out car speakers everywhere.
Yeah, sorry about that. When we did get number one, or I can't really say we because I wasn't even really a part of it at that time, but when the company got number one, it was a complete grind. My dad was calling the factory saying, we need more Prensado, constantly, more and more and more. Get us what you can. And what we didn't realize what was going on then, because we were pumping product out, we were getting out the door as fast as humanly possible, trying to just create sales, keep everything moving, and just push it as hard as possible. And what we didn't realize what was happening was down at the factory, they were moving so fast, pushing so hard that quality control was going down.
Yeah.
Which is a common thing that could happen, right?
Yeah, my dad wasn't spending enough time down at the factories when all this was going on. He was, in the office, or he was traveling, doing events for Prensado, for Alec Bradley, all that kind of stuff. And so what we didn't realize what was happening was product that was not burning right or underfilled or whatever it may have been was going out the door, and retailers and consumers were receiving this stuff. And obviously it wasn't intentional that we were putting out less than superior product, but it was happening without us knowing.
Now, just dial that down a little bit,
Yeah.
in the factory for something that's hand rolled.
Yeah.
What factory does this come out of?
Rice Cubanos.
Rice Cubanos, which they were 1941 Honduras,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you got this factory that's been around for ages,
Yes.
and they're some of the best in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're not putting out bad products necessarily, but now they're taking on from the supply side where they're like, all right,
They were super excited too. They rolled a cigar that got number one cigar.
But you got to think,
in the
right?
world.
It's all this stuff where you might have to put these rollers that may not have been
Or
doing these,
hiring
or
new rollers that you
hiring
never
new
trained,
rollers,
or
exactly.
that don't roll the exact way that you do.
They need to hit this. Same thing with the quotas, right? That you were talking about, Jake. It's like, all right, so we did this, like now we got to hit this, and so now you got this factory that's just responding to their biggest client, majority client. Where they're like, all right, they won this award, now we got to figure out a way. And now they're scrambling to figure out how do we make this actually happen for us to be able to hit the numbers.
Everything else was put on hold.
The sales are going to be there.
Was just put on hold.
It's amazing. The sales are there. It's not even like it's not a question of that they're trying to hit numbers on the sales side. It's literally that the operations side is trying to say, okay, how do we actually produce this much volume at the same amount?
Well, and it's funny, like when you
Sorry to interrupt. Get back to that,
Well, when you say that, am I interrupting or did you?
You're all interrupted.
That's normally how it goes. When you say that, though, Steve, it's interesting because I don't know. I think about, and it's easy for me to say, right? Because once again, I haven't been like a boss of a business, or I haven't been at that stature before, so I don't know what goes into that. But I would like to think if I was up there at that level with something like this, it takes some balls to say that no, I can't hit this. But what are you willing to sacrifice to a retailer that's wanting to get stuff from you, like as in from like the cigar manufacturer? Like
I'm saying, from a retail standpoint, the company is basically saying we're trying.
Yeah.
Then it's the consumer side of it that their interest.
Where's the Prensado?
Yeah, when the fire's hot, they're trying to say, hey, everyone wants the cigar. In 6 months, they may not want it.
Yeah, but are you willing from the retail side to say no, we can't do this because quality control is going down?
Well,
How are they supposed to know?
You gotta look at
They rely
it.
on
You're
us.
looking at
That's
you're
true.
looking at a manufacturer that's worried about losing their client, who's worried about losing their retailer, who's worried about losing their consumer.
That's true.
Because consumers, you got to think of it from the consumer standpoint. If I'm going into the Tinderbox at Easton, I want the number one cigar of the year, and they don't have it, and I want it that bad that I went into that shop and I asked for it by name with the intention to buy a box. I'm not just gonna go, all right, cool, we'll have it in 3 weeks. Like I'll just wait 3 weeks. I'm driving to the next store.
But so does that mean that you're validating the fact that you need to drop the quality control just to push it out?
That's not
I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
Let's pick up where he was, though. Where to go from there?
That's not an intentional.
So the quality was going down, right?
Yeah,
You're
quality
saying.
was going down. But by the end of 2011, end of 2011,
We think.
Alec Bradley had his best year ever.
Yeah,
Highest sales. I mean, you're not going to beat that
because of this cigar.
because of that cigar.
Right.
Best sales ever. So then, what's your goal for 2012?
Did you
What
win
do you
anything
do?
this year? You know what I mean?
What's your goal for
fine.
2012? How do
Yeah,
you how
so-
do you not just maintain that number, but how do you
Agreed.
grow off that number?
Right.
Or do you make a massive exception and then you let your foot off the pedal?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're not going to go off the growth of last year. That was unfair.
Yeah,
because
let's
we
just
didn't win it
drop
this
that
year.
number because it's just not fair
Keep
to
it
you.
get- yeah.
Yeah,
Slow
no,
down,
you
everyone.
add to that number.
But to my
And you try to
understanding,
figure out how do I hit that new number? So
But-
you continue to push. You
The answer
continue-
is other cigars.
Correct.
Well,
the answer
yes.
is the
From a
Prensado
Well,
Lost Art.
coming out with new cigars. I mean, we had times that we had.
Start.
I mean,
But
that's
that
what-
was years later.
Yeah, that was
But
good.
to my understanding, that's what there's nothing that resembles the original Prensado. I mean, not to make it sound lightly, but there's nothing that resembles the Prensado Lost Art from the original Prensado. Is that correct?
It's a completely-
Besides the
It's a
name.
completely different cigar.
Right.
As far as
It's still Honduran and Nicaraguan, but it's a completely different cigar.
Right.
it's sort of
Same
you know,
factory.
Same factory.
And this is what we went over, I think, when we did Lost Art, and I went into a little bit with the Black Market Essley and the Prensado
Yeah.
Lost Art. The idea was we looked at the qualities that people looked at with those two cigars, and we said, if we're going to take this name Prensado, if we're going to take this name Black Market,
Good point.
what are the things that people look at
When
with this
they
product?
smoke
What is
Prensado.
something that's iconic about it? And that's when we looked at, you know, the fuller bodied but very smooth, you know, the Cuban semi-box press, the triple gap. Okay, that's a Prensado. Black Market.
Characteristics.
Firm,
Yeah, but
firm, but very, very nice draw to it, or tightly packed, but nice draw to it. You know, slow burn qualities. You know, that is something that we considered that people looked at with Black Market. So it was basically playing off of that, but delivering a new flavor profile through the same experience of those cigars. We're not trying to replace it. We're not trying to, you know, do anything like that. It's just more or less, this is it just as it is. It's sort of like a spin-off. Or
So you find similar characteristics.
Yeah, so if you
basically.
smoke Black Market back to back with Black Market Esteli, you'll say I get it.
What about Prensado and Lost Art?
Yes, same thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
Which would you smoke
Yeah, with
first,
the
or can you do
Prensado-
either?
Prensado
You can do
Lost
it.
Art,
I
for
would
sure.
actually start with the Lost Art first, just because it is a little bit lighter in terms of
I agree.
body and strength. It's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit nuttier. It has that oaky undertone I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I would smoke that first before the Prensado, which has a little more pepper and a little bit more of like that chocolatey sweetness, but they have the same kind of quality to them. Whereas Black Market and Black Market Esteli still have quality to them. Black Market has this Panamanian tobacco in it that Black Market Esteli does not, but still the quality is there. The similarities are there.
In the profile or just in
In the profile.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, with the Prensado and the Prensado Lost Art, can you go over again and reiterate what the different wrapper leaves are?
No.
Just no. Okay. I mean, because the reason why I'm
They're both
asking,
Honduran.
Bro.
I believe so. Yeah.
see, that's why I'm asking this question, because both of them have this
No,
very.
it might be Criollo on
Lost
the
Art.
Lost Art, right?
The reason why I'm asking this question is because the reason why, for me, as a consumer, and I don't know that much about cigars, is that the velvetyness of both the wrapper leaves resembles each other.
right.
Yeah.
Not
Yes,
only does the
There's a little bit of a toothiness to both of them. It's
There's a
very
supple
yeah.
quality.
yeah, but it's just very
You love
very
that.
I
soft.
love supple.
It's a
Yeah.
You do. You are supple.
it's just a
All
soft
right, we'll be
wrapper
right back.
leaf.
And
Yeah, it's just a soft wrapper leaf, and then plus you also added the name, and then also the teal. The teal is what brings out that the color.
We were talking about the teal earlier.
Yeah, because like Dustin and
If you guys could see the studio audience right now,
2 out of the 3 are wearing.
2 out of 3. Rick didn't get the memo.
No. Forgot the email too.
But you see what I mean? Like that's why I asked that question, because it's just I can see the different, or not the, I can see the difference, but I can also see the resemblance as to why. Because when I was first explained, because I was really excited when the Prensado Lost Art was coming out, because I loved the Prensado.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Lost Art came out, yeah, it is a little lighter, but it still had the essence of
Right.
the original Prensado.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I was curious, because I didn't know the exact.
So here's the thing: like if we have Prensado, and we came out with a Prensado Maduro, you wouldn't expect it to be exactly the same as Prensado, would
No.
you?
No.
So same thing with the Lost Art. You can't exactly expect it to be exactly the same.
it's like a
It's-
Whopper and an Angry Whopper.
You feel like it'd be angrier.
You feel like
Spicier, probably with that
Spicier,
name.
right.
That's what I'm taking from it.
Yeah.
I don't even.
You have to expect the
We know.
difference on a line extension. You have to expect the difference.
Yes, and that's
If
what
we called it
we
Prensado
discussed
Sungrown,
earlier.
you would expect it to be different. If we called it whatever, you would expect it to be different.
So there's two sides of it from again, the congratulations now what topic with the Prensado, right? When you do something that is so highly acclaimed in the industry and it affected your sales
Yes.
in such a great impact.
Insane impact.
There's two sides of it, right? So you put out that brand extension, right? So you put out the
That
Prensado
brand
All-Star.
extension did not come till years later.
Understood.
Yeah.
But from a business strategy, you're like, all right, what can we do this year? You know, we got this cigar. We're trying to blend it a little bit off of the Prensado, make it different.
We've been thinking about doing a branching off of it for years, but the right blend just didn't come up until we found the Lost Art blend, and we were like, this makes perfect
gotta be
sense.
it.
Yeah, this
I
has gotta
really
be it.
enjoy that because it wasn't just you kept your foot on the gas
No.
and you just came out with some bullshit.
Well,
you actually
From a
took,
sales
you know,
side, they did though.
No,
but it took years
Yeah,
later.
No, I'm saying from a company standpoint, it was like overall goals. You said you had to grow off of that, and it was hard.
But that was a different time. And when we get back into that part of the story, I'll explain.
Yeah,
what I
please.
meant. If you want me to jump into it
Go.
now, so
Yeah, why don't
after
you just take a lead.
thanks, Ryan. So
High voice in right now?
yeah, he did high
What the
voice.
fuck was
voice,
that?
man.
That was my Jake impression.
I don't know.
I don't know what that means either. I don't have like a light voice.
So what I mentioned was after 2011 having such high sales, 2012 you're trying to build off of that.
Correct.
And we were doing everything to push to increase sales, whether it was running deals, doing different things to get more product out the door,
That was the strategy, is running deals to hit that, so more quantity.
whatever we could do.
Okay.
Whatever we could do at that point. So quality was going down. We were having problems out of Rice's. The stuff from the other factories was not having quality problems at that point. But we were just pushing so much out of Rice's at that point, they could not keep up because they were this certain size, and to just grow overnight is just not possible.
No.
It's not.
It's not organic.
No, yeah, especially in the cigar industry. Things happen slowly in the cigar industry.
That's any business too. That was a good term that like Ryan uses. Not organic.
Yeah, we were pushing it. It wasn't
Yeah,
organic.
exactly. No,
So-
it's very important.
So my dad was not sleeping for, I'd say, over a year at this point. And in 2013, I believe it was, he was like, I'm done. I'm just not doing this anymore the way that we continue to do it. Quality's gone down. I've been stressed out of my mind. I'm not sleeping. He called up Cigar Aficionado and said, I'm flying up. And that's not usually how it happens. Usually they call you
Yeah.
and say, hey, do you want to do an interview? And can you come up on these dates? He said, I'm flying up. And they said, why? He goes, doesn't matter. You'll see when I get there.
Yeah.
And they were
Have a
like,
car for me.
yeah, you'll see. So he sat down with Dave Savona for probably like 3-4 hours.
Which is the editor-in-chief.
Yeah, editor-in-chief of Cigar Aficionado, and just spilled his guts for 3-4 hours. And I don't think Dave said a word. Maybe asked a couple questions to, figure it out, but did not say much.
Genuine questions based on
Yes.
probably what he was saying, as
Yeah,
opposed to stuff that was
exactly.
prepped, right?
Yeah, nothing was prepped.
Yeah.
He was just like, I'm coming up this day, just be ready for
It's
it.
amazing.
And he spilled his guts about everything that happened. And the article came out, and people were writing into us like, I get it, blah, blah, blah. But at this point in 2013, we had already taken steps to fix our quality control. So, like, it was getting back to where it needed to be, plus some, at that point. So, people, once they read the article, and a lot of people that were turned off from our product were more apt to pick up our cigars again because of the pure honesty that my dad gave and saying, hey, we fucked up, and we're fixing it right now.
It was damage control, but it wasn't like a corporate line
And
of damage control.
he
You know
called
what I
me.
mean?
No,
He called
Yeah.
me after he walked out, and he goes, "I just finished." He said, "How do you feel?" He's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
just feel so much better getting it off my chest, being honest with our retailers and consumers as to what's going on, and not just trying to fix it and fix it and fix it, and nothing seeming to be working. But at that point, things were getting better. It was, quality control was back up. But people were turned off from our product at that point, and it was what it was. But after some people read that article, they were like, that's cool, I'm willing to pick that cigar up again, or I'm willing to give Alec Bradley a second try.
Yeah.
We still have people that won't pick up our cigars because of that, but
They smoked a cigar between, basically the year of 2012
Yeah.
mainly, right?
Right.
So it's like they picked it up and they're like, and from a consumer standpoint, in this type of a specialty industry, you do have those cigar smokers that they're like when a company gets acquired by a bigger company and they like, oh, they changed it. It's not the same thing. Same thing with this. Oh, these guys got too big for themselves. They don't care anymore.
Even with a label change, people will not smoke a cigar anymore.
Correct.
Yeah, different cigar. It could be exactly the same.
And it always goes.
They changed the color, and now it's different.
It always goes to the personal side in an industry. In any service industry is, I think, the same way. It's like, oh, they got the award. Now they just think they're too good for us. They just don't care. That's the key word that I hear a lot, is that like they don't care about it. And it's like that interview that you just mentioned that Alan did, your father. It's amazing because he went out there and it's like, no, this is the bullshit that I went through, and the company went through, and then this is what the consumers experienced, and this is why, and this is what we've done to remedy the situation, and basically just like give us another shot if you're willing to. If not, I understand.
And here's the thing: there are other companies that went through the exact same thing that we did.
Almost every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
out on the road, I've literally had reps come up to me after their companies hit number ones and said, I've made my retailers read this and say, look, Alan went down this road, and this is sort of his warning to sort of all of us. This is not the way to handle the situation. Like this is the way it is. And speaking about that whole idea of the number one, it's kind of interesting to me because as somebody not as a rep, as just somebody that enjoys cigars and has been smoking over the years, since I was 18, seeing how companies have addressed it since what happened with Alec Bradley and Alan. You have companies that have decided, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to make sure that my production is correct. I'm going to make sure the quality's there. And guess what? They still get crucified just as much by the consumer because, you're not doing enough to get this product out there. And it's like, what do you want? Do you want a ton of bad product, or do you want the right amount of great product?
But he was honest about it.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, that's the difference.
It was very
whether it
unique.
makes sales or not, like he was the head of it, so it's like I think it really matters to him. And then I think over time, at least my philosophy of it is, over time it will fix itself because of what you did, of one big step that it may have seemed minuscule to a lot of people, but to him it made sense. And later on in life, it will make sense to everyone else. That for me, especially like when it was 2013, I was just coming out of high school. Like I didn't even think about cigars. But now, like Steve just pulled it up. I haven't read it, but based off of what I know from you, Alec, and like meeting you, I can even just imagine like how your dad is. Yeah. So it's one of those things
that was good.
It's one of those things that I think resonates with me. Like I said, like I'm more of the consumer around the table here, and I think that it means a lot to me. And I think later down the road, it's one of those things where you make that step, it truly grants a precedence later, and it's not just a now fix. It's one of those things that could change maybe the generations of Alec Bradley, if you will.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, basically going off what Ryan was just saying, so Ernesto Perez Carrillo just got number one cigar in the world in 2018.
Yeah, it's the Encore and the size of Majestic.
Yes.
Which are Robusto, basically.
So as soon as my dad found out, he called Ernesto, and Ernesto said, I was just about to call you. And he called him to just congratulate him.
Yeah.
And he said, I was just about to call you. And he's like, what's going on? He goes, what do I do now?
This is Ernesto saying this to your father.
Ernesto saying to my father, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that goes exactly, congratulations, what now? Like,
it's amazing that was the actual question, as far as that, because you don't know what to do.
No, you don't know what to do.
And Ernesto's been, so for those of you who know, Ernesto Perez Carrillo's been in the industry for a long time.
Very long time.
La Gloria Cubana was, I think we might have mentioned this on previous episodes, but La Gloria Cubana was his big thing that he was doing, right? And then he sold it, like they got acquired, sold it to General. He was out of the industry for a short period of time, did the whole non-compete. I think he was actually working with General. Ricky was talking about it. Ricky Rodriguez was talking about a couple weeks ago about how that was when he entered in with General, and he actually was working with Ernesto and Benji were the two big ones that he was working with. But you got this guy that's been doing this for a long, long time, and now he's talking to someone else who's been in the industry for a long time, and it's like it's almost a surprise to hear. I bet your dad might have been somewhat surprised the fact that it's like,
and they're very
what do you mean?
friends.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? What do I do now? Like, go after it. You know what I mean? But
But how?
Actually, what he said was, there's going to be a lot that's asked of you over these next few months. You have to say no to all of it.
why?
Because you have to be down at your factory, focusing on quality control, getting the product out in a timely manner, and just making sure everything is perfect.
And based on what I've heard, he took that to heart because, right now the Encore, even the Majestic side, which is the crazy part about that list, is that you can have on the retailer side, you can have someone come in and be like, yeah, I want the Encore, I want the Prensado, and you're like, oh yeah, well we don't have the the Churchill, which because that's what they asked for.
Right.
We've got the Toro, we have the Robusto, we have the Double Toro, we got the Bellicoso, and you're like, oh, that's okay, you don't have the Churchill, and you're like, no, but it's the same blend. You're like, yeah, but that's not the one that was rated, and they literally might walk out, and you're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I get it to a point that you want to try the actual Vitola, the actual shape and size of what won, but you don't even want to try a hint of it, which is essentially the same cigar, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, it tweaks it a little bit, but it's interesting. I mean, that article you were mentioning, I did pull it up. It's from 2011. I assume this is the right one, A Conversation with Alan Rubin. And the subtitle is, the founder of the Alec Bradley Cigar Company talks about the reversal of fortune that put his smokes near the top. That was one of them.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it does. It hurts you a little bit.
But you bring up a really good point, Alec, with Ernesto, where I think that's one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and one thing to introduce about, what to do after a big success or a big congratulations. And there I go, like kind of lumping them in together, but I mean, we do associate the two together.
Yeah, absolutely, you have to.
But I think it's one of those things where even when you do put on the gas, it's you're so focused on like the next big thing, and you're so fired up and you're so eager that you do lose sight of what's going on actually. And
Almost impossible not to.
You don't stay true to your roots, and you don't do what you think that. And I saw this a lot in my.
We didn't even realize what was going on.
Real quick, I just wanted to verify because that
was the wrong article. I actually.
I was going to say there's a couple different articles.
That was right before that, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
The next one, I mean, if you scroll down, I saw you pull
so
up the same article.
There was even another one that was done in 16 called Life After Number One. That's the one
I think that's when they put it online, because at the first line it says
on January 6th, 2012.
That's
right.
what you were talking about. So I apologize about that, but it was one of those things that the
I think I said
sales
13,
boom,
I guess it was 2000.
sales boom going up more than 70%, 70,
Yeah.
in a single year.
We grew
It's crazy.
over 70%.
But as 2012 draws to a close, he discovers a problem while he is handing out one of his award-winning smokes to his consumer. The cigar is soft, almost unsmokable, and is not alone. I mean, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But going back to I thank you guys for picking that up and seeing that. But I think that especially with what I hear from, you hear it from a lot of these big names, like we were talking about Gary Vee last week, and he says it a lot where it's all these businesses, when something does happen big, they change everything. It's like, why change something that isn't broken? You think that
We didn't change a single thing.
I know, I'm not saying like you guys, I'm just
What you
saying
said,
like
yeah.
I'm just saying like with most companies that do see a skyrocket or a big program come to light, that it's like they think that they should change everything, but it's like, just stick to your roots. Like that's what I'm trying to get at is
Yeah, absolutely.
like what
you
you
have to.
what your dad told Ernesto is like, stick to your roots, make sure your quality's there, and make sure you're getting things out in a timely manner, and you can make sure that you're up in production, but don't lose the values that you had before then, because that's what brought you to that point in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, I think in a sense you guys are both saying similar things, but I will say, don't change anything. And you're saying, Alec, that you guys didn't change anything, but you did, because Alan, it was unintentional.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if he.
All
we
we
didn't
said
talk about it.
was,
I don't know if he
make
started
more
saying,
of this cigar.
Right.
That's all it said.
But you said it also that he did not do the visits down there. He wasn't. It wasn't business as usual, because now you have to do the whole press tour.
So
right?
it's
like keeping an athlete out of the gym to do all the interviews and do all this stuff where it's like, no, I should be in there training like I was last year. That got me to that point.
Well, look at Ernesto. This is not his first congratulations. What now?
Mm-hmm.
When he sold La Gloria to General, that was his first. And then he decided he was going to recreate himself and do this all over again. This is his second one.
Absolutely.
He did it gracefully the first time. And now that the second time is happening, he's going to do it gracefully again.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think he will, and again, but even him in that regards, I mean, to bring it up again,
Yeah.
he knows that he didn't get that accolade because of the action. It's so crazy. There's so many, like anymore. It's like the industry changes, and there's so many different lists and everything. Like even as a retailer, they come in, they're like, "Hey, I want the what got that? Not even number 1 rating. People literally come in and be like, "Hey, yeah, what was that cigar that got that 94 rating?" And you're
Yeah.
just like.
that's
First of all, what
Apple
publication?
Apple.
First of all, like what month? What all that stuff. But it happens.
No, I was gonna say it's interesting because like I have a friend who was telling me about a conversation that he had with a friend of his who's very successful, runs a lot of businesses, and they were talking about just sort of looking at business in general and how it's being done these days. And the guy said, the interesting thing is you see these companies where they're startups, they got a young team, they're wide-eyed, they're ready to take on the world, and they started doing like this major business overnight. And he said the thing is, when you look at a lot of these startups, what happens is they have a ton of passion for what they're doing. And when you have passion, you can make a lot of things happen. And at the end of the day, as these companies get bigger and they continue to do more business, they have to develop processes. And at the end of the day, passion will always beat process. But as you start to grow the team, as you start to grow the company, and you start to have to bring in people with less passion, you have to start to bring in, you have to have those processes to fall back on. You start to see things fall apart. And I think that's...
I agree with you. You're bringing in people that are not as passionate as you about your business.
Right, just because you need people.
Well, they didn't grow with it, first of all, is a big
Yeah.
part of it. They weren't there when you weren't where you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now they're coming into a successful business,
Right.
and doing all that.
Not only to change things, they have their own opinions of it, and it's...
And the hustle's still very real. It's nothing that went away.
I'll say this, and we've got a guest that's been listening for a long time, and it's like, so Rick is a financial planner, and one of the things that you do, and I'm not an expert by any means, and he can probably correct me, but one of the things is that the markets change, trends change, but the process typically stays the same. So it's like, it's about what is your
Good.
forecasting? what is the forecasting and what are the goals? Like what got you there? It can't be just an award. It can't just be something that spurs the sales.
It's your
And then it's
passion,
like,
it's
all of a sudden the market goes up and all of a sudden it's like, all right, now we got to change the way we're doing it because this is what's happening right now.
Coke, new Coke.
Coke, new Coke, absolutely. It's the same, yeah. So it's like you can't just go off of like what's happening at this moment because
Right.
you're planning on being in business for decades at least.
Nobody's
You
planning
know what I
on
mean?
being
So
in
it's like you
business.
can't just be like, all right, so
Unless we're a
2012
company.
happened and now 2013.
Nobody
you know,
does their best year of business as, all right, guys, let's figure out the plan that we can age out gracefully. Like that's just not something that
No,
really happens.
you want to strike while the fire's hot. I get that. You know what I mean? But again, it's I've been a part of businesses and one in particular for it was over a decade of my life, and I learned so much. But as we started, it was in the moving and storage business, right? And so like when the housing market was crashing in 08, 09, 10, it's like we were like trying to minimize losses. So we reacted that way, which I get. And then when all of a sudden it started bouncing back and we started seeing those growths again, everything that I had learned prior to that, it was almost like these things that like, all right, so like we're hitting these quotas, we're having a very successful year, we're doing it off of this trend. We did a 3-year history of those like month by month. So it's like January of the last 3 years, and then you look at the year to date, and this is how we did our sales, right? So it's like then we did our hiring forecasting over that. We did our staffing in the office about that. Everything was based off of that.
Yeah.
And when things started increasing a little bit more, I literally had the owners of the business that were in business in general and had learned and done very well for themselves. They had been in the business at that point for almost 20 years. And they were saying stuff to me, and I was at the general manager standpoint. I had done the sales and marketing, I'd done that.
Yeah.
General manager at that point. And I was sitting in the office, the owner, and he said to me, he's like, hey, I know, this is in December, the year end. We had already hit our annual goal based on like what was banked and booked in December. He said, on the 5th of the month, he's like, wouldn't it be cool? As soon as you start saying, wouldn't it be cool, and you actually put some credibility behind it, it's like, yeah, it would be cool if we did that, but I can't hire that many more people in the next week and train them and put them on trucks and do all this stuff. It's the same thing. It's
They
like
take time.
yeah, I can
Always.
hire temps. You want to hire temps, and then all of a sudden you have the quality control.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hit December, and all of a sudden it was cool that we hit that number, but now we're fucked
Yeah,
because the quality went down.
absolutely.
Because you went too fast, you went too hard, you went just based on numbers. You're trying to live up to that reputation in a sense.
That's why I think like Ryan was bringing up startups. When they do hit that spike, a lot of them sell because they don't know how to handle the growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get out while it's hot.
Yeah,
They
get out
feel
while
like
it's
they're
hot,
not going to mess it up.
collect the big paycheck and get out. Get out.
Look
Look at that horse. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was thinking. What were you?
I was going to say, look at the horse that won by the DQ.
Yeah.
Is that horse running in the next race? No,
Probably not.
it is not. It's the first one since like '96 or whatever that horse is not running.
Yeah, I think they know.
And they're going to try to, I think, stud it out. Because, why? Because it's going to fucking get hammered in the next race and not
Absolutely.
win. And, you know, it's like, what, 65 to 1 odds.
And then it's a huge letdown.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
then it's like their money that's into it by studying it out now as a champion.
Yeah.
They're like, look, this is like our business was going here, or really like kind of
But
like leveling out.
That's
and
a
then,
set model at this point, though.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing that.
I agree.
That was more relative than I was going to say. I was going to say.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to talk about whiskey for a second, where Kentucky Owl, they had a massive success between batches like 1 through 7.
Yeah.
And you had very, very slim quantities of bottles. I'm talking like maybe 200 to 300 bottles a batch. And they're selling for like $150 to $200 a bottle. And then you have them, once they reach this, they reach this cusp, and they get all these awards for things. And all it is MGP, right?
Yeah.
And then and then they blend things different ways, right? But then they sell, and now what does the new company do? They have all these barrels and thousands of barrels that they blend into a batch, and so you have thousands and thousands of bottles between the batches. But what do? They keep the price at like 150, 200, and then you have multiple bottles, thousands of different bottles of the same batch. So they're thinking numbers, right? And yeah, like people can complain about it within the whiskey industry,
Yeah.
but what does it do? It still fucking sells.
Yeah.
That infuriates me.
Yeah, but that's right now because whiskey is in like such a different state right now. Everything's hot. Everything's selling in the
Right.
market right now.
They're in a boom.
It's in a giant boom right now.
Yeah.
No, I
Just
agree.
like what you saw with craft beer.
Well,
I mean,
the cigar industry is doing the same thing. They did the bourbon barrel stuff. You know what I mean? Like
well,
you
not
guys
just
did
that, but look
Now
at the
the
cigar.
craft.
Look at the cigar boom.
Oh yeah.
They were
And it's
what?
gone through waves, right?
Yeah.
Late '90s,
Well,
I think, and then
Or even the cigars that age
Late 80s or
tobacco, now they're
to
stating it, right?
Mhm.
Mid 80s to late 90s was a huge cigar boom. There were probably over 300, 400 new companies coming out at that time. There's like what, 15 left?
yeah. Oh yeah.
All of them?
Or they've been snatched up, or they went out of business,
Oh,
whatever it is.
whatever it is.
I like what Rick said. He actually chimed in on the feed there, and while we were talking about all that stuff, and I think this is
Rick
very-
Rodriguez.
Rick Wayman, the one not in teal.
We were talking about. Well, you mentioned Rick earlier.
Yeah, so Rick Wayman.
I see where you're going there.
But Rick's here.
Yeah.
I
We
love,
got- we
I
got
love
a
this
Rick.
statement. I love this statement. Instill the passion. We were talking about passion, right? Instill passion in the process. That's a smart business move right there. And that, I mean, sure, it happens in his industry, being again in financial planning. and
Thanks for
investments.
making us look bad.
You're like everything we just said, or like 15 minutes. You
I'm
just put
joking.
it in like what was that? 5 words, 6
Yeah,
words,
Fucking
5
idiots
words.
are getting
Yeah.
drunk talking about business.
She's like, I got a T-shirt that sells that says this. Like, it's fine. You guys are talking about old stuff.
He's
but-
gonna be selling books. And
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
good to
absolutely.
go.
Oh, that's a pamphlet right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
It's a page.
yeah, $300 you can hear him speak.
Can we like take a tie back and
You want to pivot right now?
Well, yeah, I kind of want to pivot into like personal relationships, because we do try to do both, where it's not just talking about business, but we talk about life too.
No.
Well, no, but so I think with like our topic of the evening and about relationships, I think we do see that where we've talked about like people having timelines for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Which is smart because it feeds into Steve's understanding of planning, right? And I'm not necessarily the one to always plan things, but I always work hard.
Yeah.
But so when Rick's got the torch over there.
Open flame.
Yeah. But the way I think about it with our topic in mind is that say you get married, or I know with some people, like women in instance, they say that they have a timeline to like have kids, right? Or they have I think we hear about it mostly because it's mostly guys here, but it's women that have the timeline where they want to get married, they want to have kids, they want to have a house, do this and that. And what I tell Alicia all the time is that, look, we have this time frame, and this is our lives we're talking about. I think it's a little less strict than...
You're trying to plan it out.
Yeah, I think it's a little less strict in business, of course, but we're literally talking about our personal lives, and sometimes that gets put on the back burner when you are talking about business.
Yes.
And when you're talking about your job. But for the personal life, I just don't understand when people do have this timeline and enforce it on their significant other, because if their significant other doesn't have a timeline and they have a mindset and say it's not really a put off, it's like, well, like I want to get married, but you as the other person says that, well, I don't really have a timeline for this, but do I want to marry you? Yes, but it's not in the cards right now. It doesn't make sense to, if you will.
So I don't remember who told me this, but someone said that women have a biological timeline and men have an economic timeline. Men want to be making a certain amount of money, want to be in a certain place before they get married, have kids, do that because they want to provide and they want to be in a good place to be able to do those things.
Right.
As where with women, they want to start having kids at a certain age because biologically they have to.
Yeah.
So I think personally that explains it all.
Yeah.
That's why there are certain timelines.
I think there are, but I'm going to go back to what Rick said. It's instill the passion in the process.
Rick Rodriguez.
Again, Rick Wayman. The infamous Rick Wayman. Instill passion into the process, and I think that's a lot of it. Is that's that day-to-day stuff. So it's like it's not even like the, like Nate said also on the feed where it was like, got married, now what?
Yeah.
Congratulations, now what? But it's
you
like
have a huge
got a girlfriend or got a boyfriend, now what?
Yeah.
Or got out of a bad relationship.
Now I gotta find someone new.
Yeah, like what is...
What'd you say, got out of prison?
Yeah.
I mean, got out of prison. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Now what?
Go get a job. Try to.
But the whole point is that you don't lose yourself. I think what you're like, it's not just about these check boxes. You know what I mean?
I
or
get
like
so
when
sick
you do
of
all
that shit. I mean, you know me.
I do.
I really do get tired of that, especially.
No.
She'll hear it later.
No, I get tired of it. I mean, that is my stance when it comes to, like, I understand the check boxes, whether it be business or personal life, but it's just like you can only do so much, and then you have to, like, I mean, you're gonna make fun of me for it, but if you have to, like, do what, like, Carrie Underwood says, like, Jesus take the wheel, like, it's like you have to do what you can, and then some of it, I swear to God, just has to be faith. Like, you can't control everything in your life.
But you're all
when you try to take control, you will completely. You can't plan for anything because any plan you make is fucked up.
Right.
I will say this though, and this, Jake, this is what you said about the business stuff, where it's like the long term stuff. It's like at some point you do have, like there's a line of balance that I think you have to walk down. It's like if you win an award, you get in a relationship, you're doing all these things. It doesn't always have to be like in the future. It's not always long term. You can enjoy today, but also it's like the days stack up, right? So it's like you can if there's an honest conversation. But there's an honest conversation with someone in business. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I just want to stay status quo. You know what I mean? I don't want to, like, we want to work. We're just going to stick where we're at. We're going to turn customers down. We're going to have to tell the factory, like, hey, we want to increase, but we're not going to try to, like, do a 70% increase.
Yeah.
Same thing, we're in a relationship. We're not going to get married and have dogs and kids and, picket fences anytime, like, in the next year.
Yeah.
But if it has to be, like, what's the ultimate goal, and what are you doing to work towards it? That's the thing. You can't shove off the future. You can't shove off the present. You have to actually combine both of those, and you have to stack each day and each sale on top of each other. So that's like, what is the goal here? Is it, we were talking about, like, the marriage and all that stuff, and, like, that it's just check boxes. To a point, once you get on the same page, they're not going to necessarily seem like check boxes. There is actually a plan, and if you're not ready to take that next step in business or in that relationship, there's a conversation that needs to happen. But if it's that conversation, like if you're an employee and you're wanting to do more, you're wanting to do more, like, you know, and all of a sudden, what are you going to do? You actually be like, man, this company is not growing. I'm hungry. I want to go forward. I want to do this. You are going to put your application out there. You're going to get another job.
Yeah.
So if that employer, that boss is like holding you back and saying like, no, like you're making $50,000 a year. We're going to bump you up 3%. We're going to bump you up 3%. Promotion comes up. You know what I mean? Like you want to get in their spot, but they're comfortable with where they're at. They're going to stand in your way. So what are you going to do? You're actually going to get out of that lane. You're going to move into another one, and you're going to go do something else. And relationships, I think, are much the same way.
I think Steve's saying that your girlfriend's going to lose you.
No, I'm not saying that.
If you don't hurry up.
I'm not hurrying up. That's like
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there has to be this, like in any relationship. I'm not gonna isolate Jake and Alicia's relationship. I'm gonna say
I'm
any.
really joking.
Well,
no, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know Jake. So it's like my thing is that there has to be an agreement. There has to be you have to be walking the same path. But at some point, if you're pushing off one side or the other in any relationship, and business is included, if you're just pushing off like this future and you're trying to stunt the growth, you're trying to say, hey, I'm not ready, at some point, that's when you get that other job, or in any relationship, I'm not talking about yours, at any relationship, that's when someone says, my life is passing me by. There are finite days. You know, it's like you're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50 years old, and I'm not going to live forever, and I want to experience this next step. Now. Or give me a fucking timeline. Like, are we talking a year or two? In the next 5? Like, what are we doing? Because you're also wasting that. The company's wasting your time. You're wasting that company's time, possibly. And in the relationship's the same way. You're wasting that time that they're trying to grow with that circumstance. And then at some point, it's like, all it is you've delayed it because you're not ready. And what's going to happen? You're going to be the one that leaves for a new job.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be the one that leaves for a new relationship because you're not ready. Like, you hit that milestone. Congratulations, now what? It's like, well, now what? I don't know what to do. That was that whole thing. You were even saying it. Take the foot off the gas. That can be translated to a relationship as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what? We're just going to coast. Well, that's not growth together.
Yeah.
Well,
especially in a personal relationship.
Yeah, but it could be. Like, it doesn't need to be a fucking plan.
I think what Jake is saying is we can have goals, but we don't necessarily need to have a timeline.
I love that.
I'm saying you are either driving on the country roads with no destination, or you're driving somewhere. You might take the scenic route, but you're still going somewhere.
I'd take the scenic route to the destination.
Well, that's fine.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I spent too much time and I am young, but I spent too much time in my young life having everything fucking planned out for me. Mm-hmm. And now that I have the freedom to make my life the way that I want it to be, I'm not gonna have someone plan that shit out for me anymore. Like, it's going to be the way I want it to be, and I'd rather take the back road because I want to enjoy it. It's exactly what we were talking about last weekend, where I was trying to reiterate where...
Instead of rushing it and just getting it done just to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. You're enjoying the process of what's actually going on, and I'm not talking about this fucking stupid motivational thing where people are saying, well, just enjoy the process. Well, what process? Are you, like, eager, or are you eager and like trying to rush it and you just say enjoy the process because that's like the fucking fad now? Mm-hmm. Or are you actually enjoying the process and letting things move naturally, organically with your own work ethic that you've never stopped working for?
What I'm going to say is the one thing that stood out in your statement, you can correct me if it just came across wrong or you maybe misspoke, but you said you're going to do it your way. That is not the same thing as doing it together.
Not in a personal relationship, no.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. I'm listening to what you're saying, and when you say that, it's like I'm not going to let someone else plan it. I'm not going to let someone else do it. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, but
that's
when
where
he
it's
said your way, I think he meant like when he said he's going to do it, I'm going to do it my way. I think you just meant like in your relationship, like what you two come up with together.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the clarification I was looking for. Yeah, absolutely.
I understood what you meant.
Yeah.
Put it on the board.
But it does happen. It does happen from time to time where, like, Alicia and I do butt heads. But it's one of those things where that's
natural though.
That's natural.
Absolutely.
But it's also like we're 24 and 25. Does that mean that I'm waiting till the last very minute to like want to plan to get married and plan to have a house and plan to have kids and stuff like that? No, that's the difference. It's like I don't understand this thing where people can't.
And then there's people outside pressuring you also.
I get, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't
Business
understand.
and personal.
Bingo.
Yeah. And I don't understand this thing where, and the funny part is, I'm kind of jumping around, but the funny part is that the people that are pressuring you to plan this shit, they get irritated with you when you say that you can't trust me to do it. Because that's what
Explain that.
Yeah,
So,
I need some more clarity.
what that means is that when you say that, like, you're having an issue with your significant other or a coworker or whatever, a coworker and a boss is different, but when you're needing clarification on a plan and you don't necessarily have that exact plan, but you have, say instead of 10 points, you have 5 or maybe even 3, and you haven't filled in the blanks.
Okay.
I look at it as a trust issue because it's like you're so engulfed in what like you're wanting, you're not trusting me enough to get to our goal, if you will. So I think it's a trust thing on both segments of what we're talking about.
Well, I think you can bring that around full circle. You know, something like if you're talking about marriage or kids or something like that, and you know you're in a relationship where the other person wants to, you know, get married or have a kid or whatever, and you say, well, it's just not the time yet. I want to do it, but it's just not the time yet. It's sort of one of those things where you can flip this whole topic around and say, listen, let's get married tomorrow. Congratulations. Now what? We still got to last that time together.
You put it in their corner.
Put it in their corner.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
love that.
if you're gonna get together and you're gonna say we're gonna get married,
No, but
we're
I love that.
gonna
If
get
you're not
married and we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. We still have to do the 10 years that maybe I wasn't ready to get married yet, or the 5 years that I wasn't ready to get. We still have to go through all that.
Yeah.
So if we just say today we're married, what changed? What changed?
Well, I'll say this because I've been through different sides of it. I was married before, and I still remember, like my ex and I bought a house together, and there was a time we were in there about 8, 9, 10 months into owning the house together. And one of my friends came up to me, and he was a close friend at the time, and it was not because of this. I mean, we're still close, we just don't really see each other a whole lot, life gets in the way type thing, but he pulled me aside trying to do his friendship duties and say, hey, you know, so she told me that if you don't propose within a year, then she's probably going to start moving forward with something else. And my response to him, and I don't think I ever really told her that, but it was like, if a timeline is what is important to her, like we're looking at a year, I get it, but that's not why I'm going to propose. And it was like, it's kind of similar situation I think you were in, Jake, where, or at least what I'm hearing from you and what you're saying, is that it's not that I wasn't going to want to marry her or I didn't want to spend the rest of my life. It's just I just wasn't ready for that huge life change. And it was all mental, it was emotional, it was everything else, but it was one of those things where it's like, we have a good thing going and I'm not preventing it, I'm not holding back, I'm not doing anything. It's just something about me at that time was that I was not ready to get down on a knee and propose. And it wasn't an insult to her. And I told my friend that, and I would have been heartbroken at that time if it did come up to the year and says, hey, if you don't propose to me today, I need to go figure out my life. Because that's where it's not checkbox at that point. It's like, at that point, it's like, you may be not ready for a reason.
Right.
You may not be in that position in a company. You may not be in the right fit, and there's something that you're just being complacent at that point and thinking like, oh, in the future I will, in the future I will. But 5 years later, you're like, oh, in the future I will, in the future I will. And it's like, well, what the fuck are we doing anymore?
Well, I think that goes back to the art of conversation. You know,
The lost art of conversation?
The lost art of conversation. The
Prensado lost art of
I
conversation.
think that's trust too.
Well, I think what the thing is, let me put it this way: if somebody gave me an ultimatum essentially and said, "Hey, this person expects to get married in a year," and even if in my heart of hearts I go, "Yeah, I want to marry this person, or I want to get together, or I want to have a kid, whatever," I think that's a very dangerous slope to go down, just because down the line, you're always going to have that thought was, did I make that decision because I was ready to make that decision?
Or because you were scared?
Or was it because that basically there was this outside influence or there was something else going on where I thought I had to make this decision now or I'd never be able to do it again, and I just gambled.
Well, you go ahead.
No, that's it.
It's the lesser side of it. I'm going to really kind of dumb it down. It's like you're looking at all these blends that, Alec's working on right now. And this is where
This is really dumbing it down.
It is dumbing it down. No, it's dumbing it down. It's that passion side of it, right? So it's like if you just have to put out a product to put out, hey, I got to do something. You're like, I got 17 different blends. I don't know what I want to put a label on. I don't know what to call it. But it's like this is your livelihood.
Oh my God,
this is what
reading my mind right now.
This is what puts your. I don't know if I am or not, but
no, explain it.
This is what's going to put food on my family's table for years to come. But I have to hit this deadline. And so now it's like I got to put this blend out. I think it's a good blend. This is my favorite one of it. I'm not sure about the names, but this is my favorite name and this is my favorite marketing. I'll just mash it together, hit the deadline, throw it out there. It's like a reporter like putting out an article just based on deadline. They're not sure about it, but they have to do it, and people read it, and then all of a sudden their career goes down the tube because it wasn't ready.
So now speaking about cigars, you actually are reading my mind because me and Bradley are trying to come out with 2 cigars by IPCPR, which is last week of June, first week of July.
And you're not there yet?
We have one completely
Not to call you out.
Yeah, we have one completely done, ready to go. The second one, we have blends, we have names, and now combining the two is the hard part. But I will tell you this, my dad has never put out a cigar that he just didn't believe in. And if it wasn't, he's a perfectionist. So if it's not 100%, he's not putting it out. When Nick Apiro came in, my dad re-smoked the production before we shipped it out, said it's no good, sent the entire thing back to the factory, said we're starting from scratch.
Should.
Mundial took 7 years for him to find the blend that he thought would work for Mundial. So on and so forth. There's just so many examples of this. Magic Toast was actually a different blend and a different name. We turned out Magic Toast in a month and a half because he believed in the project. He reblended it. He found a completely different blend, and it worked perfectly.
I love hearing that because I heard that was a reblend or a remarket.
Nope.
Rebranding, excuse me.
Nope. Different name, different cigar.
No, I know what you're confused with. It basically took the...
that was a rumor going around.
No, we had a different cigar.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And my dad said, this just isn't working.
Yeah. And
it started from scratch. So
basically what it was is we had a cigar in the portfolio that wasn't filling the niche that it was supposed to fill.
Yeah, that's what
so basically it was,
one was
we have to take
discontinued.
We have to take
those
this
are two
out.
completely different cigars.
We had to take this out.
That's how people talk, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're talking about Tempest Maduro. Tempest Maduro was
maybe not.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything, but
I'll get you.
You heard that rumor? Flip the table. Get the fuck out of here.
I'll get you Tempest Maduro. You already have Magic Toast.
I didn't think that.
And
I see the game we're playing now. I see the bullshit that goes on Bourbon and BS podcast. I just saw 4 people get on here right now when you started making those comments.
Tune in now.
I got them, guys. No.
Watch these guys.
I will send you both cigars, and then you tell me.
I didn't think it.
I like
when someone told me.
I just like free cigars.
Send us some cigars.
Send them to me.
Like, yes.
Fuck Steve.
Yes.
Send them to
Yes.
me.
We need a box of everything.
I think it was Occidental. Send me that.
No, the difference is between what you're saying, which is very, that's the integrity of it, right?
Yes.
That's where you don't do that whole thing where you're trying to meet those, the congratulations as far as hitting number 1.
Yes.
It's like, all right, let's just pump it out. And if you would have done a Prensado Lost Art as a way to combat that, right? So it's like, all right, let's live off of this award. And we're just going to let's strike.
We could have come out with that in 2013, 2014.
I think as a cigar smoker,
2017.
that would have been, in my opinion, I think that would have been picked apart. If you followed up immediately by saying, oh, well, hey,
more than it is,
but we got,
more than it is now, and I think from a sales standpoint, I think the smart way to do it is when you're looking at sales goals, it's like, hey, we're gonna do this, but then the next year, it's like, we may or may not win an award this year, so 2013, or say you won an award in 2018, so 2019, you go into 2020, and you're trying to look at your sales forecasting, you're looking at it, and it's like, all right, so we may get a top 25, and we'll push that, but the big strategy right now is, this is our portfolio, what's not selling, how can we actually branch off of with something that we're already doing, and live off of the Alec Bradley name of the Prensado, right? Or
Yeah.
EPC with the Encore.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't necessarily have to put out the what's new. It's like, hey, have you tried the La Historia? Have you tried the whatever it is that got also this award, but you might have missed it?
The
Now
Encore
try
is great.
this.
It got
And this
number
like,
one, but why don't you try the rest of the
yeah,
cigars
like
on
this
the
is
front?
up here.
Yeah.
The Prensado is up here, 70% growth, right, over as a company. And it's
That's
like, all right, so
stupid-
these are down
it's
here.
stupid
So
number when you think about it.
yeah, so when you look at these other ones down there, it's like, all right, so let's pump this one up a little bit, pump this one up a little bit, and this one. Like, what are the percentages we have to do with the rest of the portfolio so that we can actually battle that growth of the spurt?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Black Market Esteli got number 9 this year. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you have to continue to do these things.
And the difference is I'll say this is, I mean, I'll flip the scripts. I'll do the closing remarks first. With the big difference between what we're talking about with business, where you have that integrity and everything else, it's not necessarily in personal relationships. You don't have to have personal integrity, but there's another person involved.
You do, though.
You do. I'm saying, you don't have to. I'm not saying that you don't have to. I'm saying though is that the difference is that it's not just food on the table for you and your family and everything else, and you can go get another job. You can go get. It's that there's in a relationship. There's another person's life and finite time involved there. So when you get that congratulations, when you hit that next step, that's the whole thing. Congratulations. What's next is that you had a something to feel congratulated on. You have this thing that you accomplished something, and with a relationship, it's with someone else.
Yeah.
Getting into that realm now, it's not just one person. It's not just one business. It's not all that stuff. It's
Well,
like
in a business, even, I mean, it's not just one person that you're worried about. It's not just,
Agreed.
when you own a business, it's not just yourself you're worried about. You still have all your employees that you have to be concerned
absolutely.
about.
You have to be care. You have to care about that.
Those are mouths that you're feeding. Not just like our company, just within the U.S., but think about all the people that we're feeding down in Central America as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
It's actually thousands of families.
That's a great point, and you're absolutely right. And people don't think about that.
No.
What I think when it comes to personal relationships, it's a little bit, yeah, you have your families that are surrounding it, but I mean, when it comes down to it, it's you and one other person.
Yeah.
And so when you hit that milestone with that other person, whether it be just getting in a relationship, you're going steady, you get engaged, you get married, whatever it is, you pin your pin to their, letter jacket, whatever it is.
Letterman jacket.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it might be, it's still, that's a step.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily, even when you get married, that's not the end all be all, because typically there's a lot of more years they're going to follow that. Then there's the kids, there's the dogs, there's all these, there's buying a house, there's buying cars.
Or
It's
just
every
growing
day.
together
Yeah,
as
just
people.
every day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's every day. It's waking up next to that person, and it may not be that honeymoon phase all the time, but it's that decision of where are you going from there. And if you don't see your life going forward with that other person, or if you're scared to take another step, that's where it's like a matter of taking it, where it's like you step back, you look at it, you reflect, you talk to that person. The communication, the lost art, Prensado lost art of communication is very important in any relationship, business or personal. I think that it's a matter of you have to stay on the present, but also look forward and really try to maximize everything that you're doing and be on the same page so that you don't get lost. You don't have the quality control issues,
Yeah.
whether it be cigars or it be, these are metaphors.
Relationship.
The relationship. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome, Steve.
Who's next?
Was that your closing remarks?
That was it, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have Alec go now.
Okay, closing up on, my closing remarks are, as in what's next for us. I mean, obviously over the years that we've got our quality control right, we're growing, we're doing everything we need to be. In the last year, we've started a second company, which is Alec and Bradley, which is mine and my brother's cigar line. We just purchased a month and a half ago, Larstein's. These are what we're doing as next steps moving forward, growing, and I mean, I'm very excited about it. I think that we are on the right path that we need to be, especially we have all this FDA stuff going on, looming. I feel like we're in the right position that we need to be moving forward. And
You're greatly involved in the FDA issues, as far as that goes.
Yeah, my father.
You and your father, yeah.
My father sits on the board of CRA and IPCPR, so we are spending a lot of money on attorneys and focusing on making sure that we will be here in the future, as well as other companies that are might not be the size to be able to participate.
Yeah.
We're making sure we're trying to look after them as well. So we're all in it. We're all in.
That's awesome.
And that says a lot about you guys.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you got for us?
I don't know that we answered the question of what's next.
I just answered.
Well,
what's next
in
for
your
Alec
closing
Bradley.
remarks, go ahead and answer that for us. Just like summarize.
What's next for you?
What's next for me?
I should
Yeah.
just put you on like the first 5 minutes to just answer the question, and then we could just both do it.
I mean, we used to
Next time. We have next time.
smoke and stuff.
I think Ryan's gonna be on every week.
Yeah, I think so.
He loves podcasts.
He's full.
What?
He's full of BS. So
Yeah, that's true.
you didn't have to agree. You just did.
I almost just went into the office, Michael Scott. Don't ever, for any reason, at any time, with anybody, ever. I think with the whole time, it's interesting. We went so deep in the sales thing, and then we just pulled a hard right and went down
You're welcome.
the fucking relationship thing, and now
Absolutely.
Alec is sales pitching. Yeah, it's fucking.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's I think with the whole.
Dude.
With the whole topic of congratulations, now what? Like I said, I think a lot of times congratulations comes from success. And I think that for a lot of people, success has a finality that, congratulate, this is over. And I think with everything, whether it's business or a relationship or just simply your personal life, it's never over. And there's more to get done. And maybe you close a chapter, but the book continues. And that's basically the way it is. Got a little fucking poetic there.
Yeah.
Real
but
nice.
It was nice.
I didn't understand any of it, but good job.
Fucking.
You could have just stopped there and not said anything, and it
If
would
I
have been
didn't ruin
very
something, it would be
profound.
fun to have you on the podcast.
That was a real supple poem.
Yeah.
That was a real supple, just
Something.
something. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it with me and the topic tonight.
It's nice.
That's great.
Pull up that chick. No.
Takes the mic off the table, throws it. I got a mic up. That's not how you do it.
That's a mic throw.
You're gonna pay for that.
I was told.
No.
I was talking to my new manager today, which is interesting because we're kind of in this transition phase. New company coming in, managing. I don't know if you guys know, but I work at a cemetery.
I do know that.
I
Yeah.
did know that.
Sorry, by the way.
Yeah, so
Found out 5 seconds ago.
new management is coming in, and new manager, new owner. New manager sits me down first time. He's been there for like a week and a half, and he explains. He kind of goes over of how the commissions are going to be with the new company and everything. And he talked about 3 things, and it was funny because I'd never heard it put this way, and he talked about work ethic, your your accountability, and then the way that either you portray things, so say, I can't know the exact, I forget the exact word that he said, but so say if you come into a new position, and are you either going to learn from it, are you one of those people that you learn and you grow and you do your job right, or are you one of those people that learn something new and then you just fall behind because you don't understand it? So it was interesting to hear him talk about these 3 finite things, and I'm sorry I can't remember the exact words that he used, but so he was talking about, so if I'm in sales, right, and it's completely, basically commission based, am I one of those people that learns and does it the right way and gets a handle of it within 3 to 6 months and then works his way up, right? Yes. Well, am I going to work for it? Yes. Is my work ethic there? Yes. And he explained that, is that work ethic being that you're going to put the hours in and the time in after you leave? Are you spending time listening to salespeople? Or are you seeking out people to be a better salesman?
Reading books.
Stuff like that.
Stuff like that,
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear that. And I'm thinking inside my head as he's saying this, and I'm saying yes, yes, yes. But I did explain one thing once he was done with that, and because he asked, do you have any questions? And I said no, and the reason why is because I really, really enjoy what you guys have brought to the table, because you guys are very precise. You understand and they're smaller than the company that's leaving, and they're better. Imagine that, right?
Right.
And so I explained to him is that they're very, very finite on things. They're very direct, and that's what I liked. It wasn't just this mumbo jumbo that's been created by their corporate entity.
It was real.
It was real, and I understood it, and I didn't have to look beyond whatever bullshit that they were saying to me because it was real.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what I explained to him, and I said, to be honest, the company before, the problem was I could seek out the issues within the process within the first week, and I had no idea about this industry before I was hired, right? So I think when you're dealing with a congratulations now what, that's the core of it. That's what starts, it's bringing back your basic values of what you do when you're at the start of things. And once you lose those, when you've reached this pinnacle of what you ever thought that you'd reach, it's just fucked. And then you have to pick up the pieces. You just have to pick up the pieces and then like try to do damage control.
I get what you're saying.
And I'm not saying at all that that's what your dad did. I'm just saying what he did I admire a lot because he was real. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people miss out on when they've been congratulated about something. It's like I take it to back last week when Steve and I were talking about our days in college, and Rick brought it up when he came here today.
Rick Rodriguez?
No, Wayman.
Rick Wayman.
Where
Infamous.
You gotta be more.
Where it's like, you know, you wake up that day and it's close to graduation or even on graduation day, and you're like, now what? Like, I've reached this point. And that's exactly how I felt.
You've been working for your entire life until this day.
And to be personally honest, and it wasn't directed in a mean manner. It's just I knew that my parents cared so much about it, was my diploma. And so when I walked across, the first thing I did was handed my dad and my mom my diploma.
Because they were just as much invested in it as you.
It didn't mean that I didn't want it. It just meant that I knew at that time it meant a lot more to them than it did me. And so the way that I think about it is at that time, I was literally thinking in my head, now what? Because I did all my years of football, I did all my years of schooling, but did I take my foot off the gas once I left? No. Was I a little scared? Yes. Because the real world was happening, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when we're talking about this subject, that it's so important to understand the differences between keeping your foot on the gas but not losing your head. Understanding the core values of what makes you you, whether you're a CEO or whether you're the lowest man on the totem pole, or whether we're just talking about our life, or whether we're just talking about a relationship or your personal relationship. It truly means not losing your core values and not
Staying
losing
true to your core values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I really mean for this podcast to be about this topic, because we all lose our heads to certain extents about certain things, but Steve and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Is like, who am I? How many people do you know that ask themselves that, like, every once in a while? Like,
the best time to do that is after you've had about 7 drinks. Go look straight in the mirror.
Yeah.
Go look
In the
straight
mirror.
in the mirror.
It's
Yeah.
true. When you're naked.
And you almost don't even recognize
When you're
yourself.
naked.
When you're naked.
That's the best time.
Come on.
But that's that's what I mean. So I hope that resonates with people, and I challenge our viewers and our listeners to really look at what they're doing. I know we ask this question a lot, but ask yourself, like, who am I? And are you changing things about yourself because you've got a promotion? Are you staying true to yourself? Or do you not know really who you are? And then maybe you need to do some soul searching.
And redefine that or define that.
Ask that question. What now?
Yeah.
Well, no.
What now?
But that's really for you. it's really for you to decide. I think it's for all of us to decide around this room. And we can't answer that for you. I can't answer that for Steve, and Steve can't answer that for me. But can we talk about it together and be friends and family? Yes.
Absolutely.
So.
I've been talking about how much I hate podcasts ever since I got on these podcasts.
And yet,
You're here again.
you're here again.
I'm going to look in the mirror.
I feel like you're addicted.
I'm going to go right back out to the mirror. I'm going to be in the bathroom.
So, thank you guys.
Hey, who do we have on next week? You locked it up. Who's on next week?
So we have Rolling Barrel Tours. That
Was
is
Ryan
based.
Ponist?
No. We have
beer on. All of a sudden he's like in a chair, like in the background.
We
Hey
have-
guys.
We have Rolling Barrel Tours based out of Mount Vernon, Ohio, believe it or not, and they've started something that I think is a very niche market. That the basis behind their business is it's kind of a liaison between here and Kentucky, if you will, and you pay a certain amount of money, and they take you on a tour, and it's
There you go.
2-3 days, however long you want to be down there, and they pretty much, it's a travel guide.
Yeah.
For the Bourbon tour,
It
for the
is.
Bourbon Trail. So it's pretty
So,
awesome.
I look forward to that next week.
Yeah, I do
Absolutely.
too. I'm
Me
excited.
I want to, if I could, thank Alec, Ryan, especially Ryan, because he loves being here.
Thank you guys for having us. It was a good time.
No, it's great having you on here, and thank you for kind of sponsoring this episode.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
We've got the mega burner on the table.
I might not believe in what you're doing, but I believe in you.
I know you believe in both, honestly.
That's a really shitty statement.
No, he said he
You-
might, and he's
And all the Ricks out there.
and all the Ricks out there. Ricks and Rickies.
Ricks and
you know what I mean? All of
Rickies.
you. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you
This is awesome.
for supporting the podcast, supporting it, and talking to everyone out there. Thank you, Altadis USA, for the continued support. Tinderbox at Easton, and also BS Cigar Company. And thank you to all of you, the Facebook Live viewers that tune in every Whiskey Wednesday. Everyone that checks out the video on Facebook, YouTube, also the iTunes, Spotify, and Dustin, our producer, is
15% off?
yeah,
Fuck yeah.
15% off. If you mention Bourbon and BS Podcast in the shop at Tinderbox at Easton, if you call in, if you want us to ship some, we can do that. 15% off the Prensado. We have the Toro size, but we will be happy to ship that off to you or sell it to you in the shop for 15% off until next Tuesday at close.
In fact, for a limited time, while supplies last, buy 3 Alec Bradleys, get 1 free.
What I mean?
What?
Oh, you left that at the shop?
Yeah.
All right, so
I
yeah.
did a couple promos.
Coming tomorrow. All right,
And just tomorrow.
So,
it's
Ryan-
only for the live.
We
viewers,
closed
really.
57 minutes ago, but if you can make now.
Yeah, tomorrow if you come in, so Thursday if you come in on the 9th, we'll do buy 3 get 1 from Alec Bradley Cigars until supplies run out.
Congratulations, no one.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Happy
Cheers
Whiskey
to everyone out
Wednesday.
there.